Chapter 128 was still white after Qi Sheng announced the distribution of personnel. He continued, now line up and use your test cards to receive the entry-level materials. Then, stand in line according to the peaks. There will be someone to take you to the appropriate places. The entry-level materials included 2 sets of handyman service, a low-grade storage bag, an identity jade token, a copy of the Linghua Sex rules, and a copy of the Linghua Sex entry-level cultivation method, the Linghua technique. Most of the handymen immediately opened their storage bags and placed their items inside. Among the members of the Qingyun team, only Yun Chuzi was able to release his spirit energy, so the members of the Qingyun team placed their items inside Yun Chuzi's storage bag. Seeing them like this, the handymen couldn't help but have contemptuous looks on their faces. The spirit energy of the members of the Qingyun team was too low. They must have gone through dog shit and luck to pass the test. Now that they had been assigned to the big kitchen on the middle peak, they could no longer turn things around. The big kitchen was the worst department to begin with, and the big kitchen on the middle peak was the best among the big kitchens on the 6 peaks. They were often bullied, and these 7 people were considered useless. Yun Chuzhou and the other servants of the middle peak followed an outer sect disciple named Lin Peng out of the square and rushed to the middle peak. The Linghua sect was really too big. These odd-job workers walked for nearly 2 hours before they reached the middle peak. It was unknown if Lin Peng did it on purpose. The big kitchen was originally at the foot of the mountain, but he just had to take Yun Chuzhou and the others around a big circle. Only after he had finished arranging the other odd-job workers did he bring Yun Chuzhou and the others to the big kitchen. "Old Huang, there's a new person here. Come over and take over." Lin Peng's attitude was very arrogant, and he was just short of pointing his nose at the sky. He's here. There's finally a new person here. I'm really short of manpower here." A fat old man ran out. Lin Peng snorted contemptuously. "Old Huang, I've given you quite a lot of people. If you can't keep them, it's not our handyman's fault." The fat old man smiled and said, that's right. It's because our Middle Peak's big kitchen doesn't have the ability. It can't be blamed on others." Lin Peng pursed his lips, took out the token and handed it over to the fat old man, then left. The fat old man sized up Yun Chuzhou and the others, then shouted at the big kitchen, "Mei Li, Ho Tian, Bei Yuan, come out and pick people." 3PO. The fat old man smiled and said, "My surname is Huang. You can call me Steward Huang or Old Huang. I'm the chief steward of Zhongfen Kitchen and also the kitchen steward." The fat old man introduced the 3 people in turn. The big man was called Mei Li, the chopping board steward, who was in charge of cutting vegetables. The skinny man was called Ho Tian, the water table steward, who was in charge of picking vegetables and washing vegetables. The pale-faced middle-aged man, Bei Yuan, was the stove steward. He was also in charge of cooking. Right, besides the 3 of them, there's also Lan Xiaohua, who is in charge of the case, and Ding Jun, who is in charge of purchasing ingredients. I have something to do today, so I'll introduce you to him tomorrow. Alright, the 3 of you can choose your people. Mei Li pointed at Yun Chulu and Yun Chuba and said in a muffled voice, "My job requires a strong body. The 2 of you can follow me." Ho Tian pointed at Yun Chu, Yun Chuki, and Qing Si and said, "The 3 of you can follow me. It's easier to pick and wash vegetables." Bei Yuan pointed at Yun Chuzi and said, "You can follow me." Finally, Elder Huang looked at Yun Chuzhou and said, "Little girl, then you can follow me to light the fire. After all, even if you're black, you're not afraid of smoke." Yun Chuzhou only wanted to shout at Elder Huang, "I'm white. I'm white." Chapter 129 Roasting a rabbit would be punished. The few of you go to the dormitory to settle down first. You will officially start work tomorrow. Our big kitchen was made of iron and water, so this dormitory was the richest. The 3 rows at the back were all dormitories. Those who had activated the array in the courtyard had already been occupied. You can choose any of the remaining rooms. Old Huang pointed to the room at the back of the big kitchen and said. Yun Chuzhou and the others thanked him. Then, they passed through a bluestone road and came to the backyard of the kitchen. The kitchen was close to the back of the mountain. Although the spiritual energy was far inferior to the spiritual energy above, to Yun Chuzhou and the others, this place was like heaven. The spiritual energy here was much richer than the spiritual energy in Yi City. It was simply much stronger. 7 people were selected. In the end, they chose the 7 small courtyards in the 3rd row. Only Yun Chuzi had activated the array formation in the courtyard. The other 6 people were unable to activate the array formation in the courtyard because they could not release their spiritual energy. However, they did not have anything valuable, so they were not afraid of people stealing. After she had tidied up, it was already dark. Yun Chuzhou thought of a very important question. Fuck. They had not eaten dinner yet. They had been hungry for a whole day. Therefore, this guy stretched his neck and shouted, "Brothers, sisters, let's go and eat." Yun Chuzi and the others were also hungry. Therefore, the 7 of them came to the big kitchen in a mighty manner. Then, they realized that the big kitchen had already activated the array formation. Apparently, it had been closed. Why does this big kitchen have an array formation to protect it? Can someone steal things? Yun Chulu asked in confusion. Maybe there really was such a thing in the past, so they created an array formation. After all, the ingredients here are all spirit vegetables and spirit rice. They are also very valuable outside. Yun Chuzi thought for a moment and said. Then what should we do? We didn't bring any dry rations. Ah, this is bad. When we entered the Linghua sect, those few horses are still in foster care at the inn. What a waste. Yun Chuki stomped her feet. What a miscalculation. 7th sister, can you be a little more promising? It's just a few horses. When I'm rich in the future, I'll get you a spirit beast to ride on. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Yun Chuki glared at her. Let's not talk about riding spirit beasts. If you can fill our stomachs now, I'll be thankful to the heavens. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. What's so difficult about that? As the saying goes, one depends on the mountain to eat the mountain, and another depends on the water to eat the water. Behind us is the back mountain. I don't believe that we can't find food. Let's go. Let's go hunting. Xiaojiu, is hunting allowed in the back of the mountain? Will we be punished? Yun Chu asked worriedly. What's not allowed? It's not a spiritual beast. Aren't you guys hungry? Listen to me, that's right. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou did not care about the stupid sect rules. It was more proper to fill her stomach. They bypassed the dormitory area and went straight into the back of the mountain. Xiao Hei, the task of finding the prey is up to you. If we can't find the prey, we'll have to go hungry. Xiao Heinio was so hungry that his heart was stuck to his back. Naturally, he worked hard and soon found a few wind-blade rabbits. The group caught these few fat rabbits without much effort. The group skillfully lit a fire and began to roast the rabbits. Looking at the oily roasted rabbits, the group could not stop swallowing their saliva. They did not care about the burning of their mouths and began to devour the food. While the group was enjoying their meal, Yun Chuzhou frowned. Someone was here. How dare you? How dare you defy the rules of the sect and roast the meat here? Men! Tie these people up and bring them back to the law enforcement hall. A gloomy voice said. Chapter 130 was about to beat you up. Yun Chuzi and the others were shocked and stood up in panic. Only Yun Chuzhou was still squatting on the ground, slowly chewing on the rabbit leg. The little black bird next to her was also eating without raising its head. Yun Chuzhou. You are still eating? You are really lawless. Someone kicked over the grill and the roasted rabbit fell to the ground. The person even stepped on the roasted rabbit. Yun Chujia's eyes flashed. She looked up and saw 3 people standing in front of her. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man with triangular eyes. Yun Chujio felt that he looked familiar, but she couldn't remember where she had seen this person before. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man with triangular eyes, and he looked like he was from Sanjiaoyan. What are you looking at? You, a trash without spiritual power, can enter the Linghua sect like smoke rising from your ancestors' graves. You actually dare to come to the back of the mountain and light a fire to roast meat. You don't know what's good for you. The man saw that Yun Chujio was still squatting on the ground. He raised his leg and kicked at Yun Chujio. Ah! Little Jiu! Yun Chuzi and the others cried out in shock. It was already too late to stop her. A trace of sternness flashed across Yun Chujia's eyes. She lightly jumped to the side, and the rabbit leg in her hand, which she had yet to finish eating, landed on the man's face. The man did not expect that Yun Chujio would actually dare to resist. He was momentarily careless and was hit by the rabbit leg. Although Yun Chujio was thin, her strength was not small, and the man's face instantly swelled up. The man was stunned at first, then his triangular eyes stood up. Good! Yun Chujio, you are rebelling. You openly attacked a law enforcement disciple. Yun Chujio, just wait to be expelled from the Linghua faction. Take her away. Yun Chujio snorted coldly. Wait. I was scared by you just now, so I let go of the rabbit's leg. It was just your bad luck that it hit you. What does it have to do with me? Also, what right do you have to say that we violated the sect rules? Which sect rule says that you are not allowed to eat roasted rabbit? Besides, you said that you are disciples of the law enforcement hall, so you are. What proof do you have? The triangular-eyed man's expression was ferocious. Although the sect rule does not say that you are not allowed to eat roasted rabbit, open fire is prohibited on the back mountain, so you are openly violating the sect rules. This is our law enforcement token. Open your dog eyes and look. Yun Chujio took the token that the man threw over and took a look. It was indeed a law enforcement token, but it was only the law enforcement hall of the Western Peak. Why did you come to the Middle Peak? Humph. The law enforcement hall of the 6 peaks has always taken turns to enforce the law in the Linghua sect. Yun Chujio, stop quibbling. Take them away. A fierce look flashed across the triangular-eyed man's eyes. Take them back and entertain them properly first. In any case, they would definitely be expelled from the Linghua sect the next day. The 2 men behind San Jiaoyan saw this and were about to go forward and tie up Yun Chujio and the others when Yun Chujio jumped up and gave San Jiaoyan 2 tight slaps on the face. Then, she gave San Jiaoyan a fierce kick in the stomach. This place was originally a gentle slope. The man directly rolled out 100 feet away. Whether it was Yun Chuzi and the others or the people brought by San Jiaoyan, they were all dumbfounded. No one would have thought that Yun Chujio would start beating him up at the slightest disagreement. San Jiaoyan's fall was not light, but it was only a few superficial injuries. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Good. Good. Yun Chujio, you actually beat up a law enforcement disciple in public. If I, Lu Qingjin, don't chase you out of the Linghua sect, my surname will not be Lu. Let's go. Tomorrow, we'll take the arrest warrant to arrest her. Let's see if she still dares to disobey. San Jiaoyan saw that he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage today, so he called for the other 2 people to leave angrily. Little Jiu, what should we do? Yun Chuzi and the others looked at Yun Chujio in fear. Don't worry, I have a way. Come, let's continue to roast the rabbits. There are still a few raw ones. Yun Chujio didn't care and started to build a fire again, starting to roast the rabbits. Although Yun Chuzi and the others were panicking, seeing Yun Chujio so calm, they didn't know why their hearts calmed down. Forget it, just listen to little Gio. Little Gio will definitely have a good idea. Chapter 131. After the 7 of them finished roasting the remaining rabbits, Yun Chujio wiped her mouth and stretched lazily. Brothers and sisters, wait for me downstairs. I'll do some cleaning up, and then I'll look for you. No matter what happens later, you don't have to care. Although Yun Chuzi and the others were a little worried, they knew that Yun Chujio had many ideas, so they could only head back first. After a while, they saw a few dazzling lights flash past the spot where the barbecue had been, accompanied by the sound of heavy objects falling to the ground. After a while, Yun Chujio jumped into action and caught up with Yun Chuzi and the others with Little Black. Little Gio, was there a flash on the mountain just now? Did it hurt you? Yun Chuzi asked worriedly. That's right. There was indeed a flash. But the lightning came at the right time. Come over. Well, do it this way tomorrow. Do you understand? Yun Chujio bared her little white teeth and showed a little fox-like smile. Yun Chuzi and the others were stunned when they heard that. They looked at Yun Chujio in shock. Little Gio was simply too evil. This was simply turning the tables. Little Gio, is this really a good idea? After all, we were in the wrong. Yun Chuzi could not continue because Yun Chujio was looking at him coldly. Do you guys think that I've gone too far? Shouldn't I go against the law enforcement agency? Shouldn't I obediently follow them? Yun Chujio's little face sank. Yun Chuzi and the others inexplicably felt that Little Gio was very scary at that moment, and they said in a meek voice, Little Gio, we don't have any intention of blaming you. We just don't understand. Won't this matter blow up? What would happen to us then? Yun Chujio snorted coldly. Fourth brother, take out the rules of the Spirit Radiance sect and have a closer look. If you start a fire in the back mountain, what's the crime, and what punishment will you receive? Yun Chuzi hurriedly took out the rules from his storage bag and flipped through them. Perhaps he was nervous because he could not find it even after some time. Yun Chujio said faintly, page 5, article 108. Yun Chuzi flipped to page 5, and as expected, article 108 said, those who start a fire in the back mountain without permission will be punished according to the circumstances and the consequences. Those who are lightly punished will be given a verbal warning or be punished with spirit pearls or spirit stones. Those who are severely punished will be imprisoned until they reflect on their mistakes, and those who are in serious circumstances will be expelled from the sect. Our circumstances are clearly very mild, but why did Senior Brother Lu imply that it's serious? He even said that he wants to expel us from the Spirit Radiance sect. Yun Chuzi cried, "Oh you." That's because Sen Jiaoyan wants to use this as an excuse to take advantage of the situation and get revenge for his personal grudge. Yun Chujio laughed coldly. Little Gio, what do you mean? Revenge? San Jiaoyan has nothing to do with us, right? Yun Chuzi asked in confusion. At first, I just thought he looked familiar, but after hearing his name, I suddenly realized. Do you remember that miserable group that we eliminated in the 3rd round? Wasn't that group leader called Lu Qinghua? That triangular-eyed man was called Lu Qingzhen, and he looked so much like San Jiaoyan. Perhaps he was a relative. Yun Chujio saw that Yun Chuzi and the others still did not seem to understand, and she sighed in her heart. The Yun family had protected them too well, and they were all a little too kind. Looks like it was time to get them out of their heads. That triangular-eyed man was rude and unreasonable from the start. He deliberately threatened us with all sorts of words and actions. Do you think he usually enforces the law like that? He's setting a trap for us to fall into. I bet that as long as we obediently leave with them tonight, not only will we be expelled from the Spirit Radiance sect tomorrow, but we will also be tortured. Brothers and sisters, this isn't Yi City, nor is it the Yun family. Although the Spirit Radiance sect is a famous sect, there are still quite a number of dirty and sinister people here. Why do you think we were assigned to the most useless middle peak kitchen? Why did that disciple deliberately lead us around a big circle? Why was the array formation done in the big kitchen even though he knew that we had not eaten dinner? Why were we caught red-handed by the law enforcement agency the moment we roasted the rabbits? You must remember that from this moment on, you must remain vigilant at all times. Otherwise, not only will you be expelled from the Spirit Radiance sect, you will lose your own lives and those of your brothers and sisters. Do you understand? Chapter 132, She was not human at all. Yunchuji's words undoubtedly had a huge impact on Yunchuzi and the others. For a moment, they were silent. Qing Si looked at Yunchujio with admiration. Little Jio is absolutely right. I've fully experienced what it means to not have the intention to harm others, but to be wary of others. If it weren't for me, I would have been dead long ago. Yunchujio only smiled. It's getting late. Everyone, go back and rest. We have a busy day tomorrow. Yunchuzi and the others looked as if they were deep in thought as they returned to their own courtyards in confusion. Yunchujio returned to her own courtyard. She did not know where to get water, so she laid on the bed to rest without washing up. Little Black was afraid that Yunchujio would settle the score after autumn, so he obediently lied in a corner of the bed and pretended to be dead. Although she had experienced a lot that day, Yunchujio had always been a heartless person, so she fell asleep soon enough. Early next morning, there was the sound of a bell ringing and Old Man Huang's loud voice, "Get up. Let's go to work." Yunchujio rolled around with the quilt in her arms. She woke up so early. She was torturing herself. I must think of a way to get Old Man Huang to allow me to sleep in. Yunchujio muttered a few words before struggling to get out of bed. She brought Little Black out of the courtyard. Yunchuzi and the others were already waiting for her outside the courtyard. Each of them had big dark circles under their eyes. It was obvious that they did not sleep well the night before. Little Jio, I thought it through last night. You're right. I shouldn't have the benevolence of a woman. Little Jio, if we do something wrong in the future, you can scold us harshly. Little Jio, sixth brother is stupid. He'll listen to you from now on. Yunchujio giggled. Not everything I say is right. Let's remind each other in the future. Let's go, time to work. Oh right, Little Jio, how do you know the 108th rule on page 5 of the sect rules? The one about the fire prevention. When I was collecting the item, I flipped through it once and remembered it. What's so difficult about that? Yunchujio said carelessly and then hopped toward the big kitchen. I flipped through it once. I remembered it. I remembered it. What's so difficult about that? Once. 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 Little Jio, are you showing off or are you showing off? Are you doing this on purpose? Everyone looked at each other and had a consensus in their hearts. Little Jio's brain was different from theirs. She was not human at all. Yunchujio really did not do it on purpose. This fellow felt that it was normal for her to look at such a thin piece of paper and remember things. Yunchuzi and the rest followed Yunchujio into the big kitchen with a dumbfounded look. It was already busy inside. Although breakfast was relatively simpler, there were nearly 2,000 people at Middle Peak, so the workload was very heavy. The big kitchen was divided into two parts. In front was the place for the disciples to eat. The kitchen staff laid out all kinds of food, and those who came to eat could take it for themselves. Behind the big kitchen was the back kitchen. The cooking was all done in the back kitchen. The back kitchen was very big. There were 20 stoves, and each stovetop was 5 times the size of an ordinary stovetop. There was already a fragrance filling the big pot. The 7 people had just entered when they were called over by their respective stewards. Yunchujio followed Bei Yuan to a stovetop. Bei Yuan called over a handyman. Wang Yuan, teach this little girl how to light the fire. The handyman, named Wang Yuan, looked very gentle. As he was looking after the 5 stovetops, he taught Yun Chujio. Little girl, this pot is boiling rice porridge. When the pot is boiling, the fire should be gentle. If the fire is too big, remove the firewood. If the fire is too small, add more firewood. Do you understand? Yun Chujio nodded obediently. She squatted on the ground and began the first day of her career as a fire girl. Chapter 133, Sorry, my hand slipped. Yun Chujio looked at the red stove and thought to herself, how good would it be if I could get a few sweet potatoes and throw them into the oven to roast. If I really can't get sweet potatoes, I can get a few potatoes too. Although Yun Chuzi and the others were worried about the law enforcement agency, they could not help but relax when they saw Yun Chujio acting as if nothing had happened. They focused on the work in hand. An hour later, Middle Peak's outer disciples came down to have breakfast one after another. As for the inner disciples and elders, there were special handymen who came down to take their food. This was the difference in levels. Of course, there were also some disciples who took more food at a time so as to not delay their cultivation. After all, the food would not turn cold or go bad when it was placed in the storage bag. Yun Chujio initially did not feel that there was anything wrong with being a handyman in the big kitchen. Now, she felt that it was not good. It was very bad. Very bad. It was because the feeling of seeing but not being able to taste the food was really just too uncomfortable. Whether it was the boiling porridge in the pot or the big steamed bun, they could only look at it and not eat it. It was simply terrible, was it not? Senior brother Wang, when can the people in the big kitchen have breakfast? Yun Chujio swallowed her saliva dozens of times and finally could not hold it in anymore. Wang Yuan smiled. When the people in front are almost gone, we can have our breakfast. What's the matter? Are you hungry? Wait a moment. Seeing that there was no one in front of the steamer, Wang Yuan quickly took a big bun from inside and handed it to Yun Chujio. He said in a low voice, squat behind the stove and eat. No one will notice. Yun Chujio felt that Wang Yuan was the bodhisattva who saved the world, a little angel waving her wings. After thanking him in a low voice, she took the bun and started eating it happily. Wang Yuan could not help but shake his head when he saw Yun Chujio wolfing down the bun. When Elder Huang had left last night, he had specially instructed Manager Ding, who had come back later, not to activate the array formation until the 7 new children had eaten. Who would have thought that just as Elder Huang left, Manager Ding had activated the array formation? Manager Ding had a strong backing. Even Elder Huang could not do anything to him. The new children would probably have a hard time in the future. Finally, when the disciples in front had mostly dispersed, the odd-job workers in the big kitchen began to eat. Although there were only a few simple types of food, the ingredients used were all rich in spiritual energy, so they tasted very good. Yun Chujio took the bowl and picked up 2 steamed buns. She placed them under her feet and fed them to Little Black. Bastard! These are food for humans to eat. How can they be eaten by a beast? It was already very kind of her to let you bring this unlucky thing in, but you actually want to feed it steamed buns? Originally, it was already good enough for our big kitchen to keep you 7 good-for-nothings. Now, you want to raise beasts as well. You must be dreaming. A man with slightly blue eye circles pointed at Yun Chujio's nose and cursed loudly. Yun Chujio's eyes darkened. Fuck. Did she not have a good relationship with this spirit radiance sect? Why were there so many scumbags coming out of nowhere? If something had to be said, then just say it nicely. They opened their mouths to talk about this but shut up about all the other nonsense. Were they trying to see if they were easy to bully? Before Yun Chujio could do anything, Little Black was already furious. Caw. 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 You scum. You actually dare to scold this young master. Curse you to fall and die. The man was still cursing when his legs suddenly went weak and he fell to the ground. Yun Chuzhou let go and the bowl of porridge in her hand fell on the man's head. The porridge in the bowl burned the man's face. Oh no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My hand slipped. You were just scolding me just now. Why are you suddenly lying on the ground? Yun Chuzhou shook her hand and looked annoyed and guilty. Yun Chuzi and the others were sure that little Jiu did it on purpose. They lit a candle in their hearts for that person. He actually dared to provoke little Jiu during mealtime. He must have been tired of living. Chapter 134. Take a look. The man on the ground almost fainted from anger. He wiped his face with his hand. You stinky girl. I'll make sure you're well acquainted with the rules here. The man got up and reached out his hand to hit Yun Chuzhou as Elder Huang reached out and grabbed the man's arm. Manager Ding. This is just an accident. If you don't let her feed her spiritual pet, then just don't allow it. Yun Chuzhou, don't feed your spiritual pet with spiritual food in the future, do you hear me? Elder Huang winked at Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou understood and said, yes. I know I'm wrong. I won't do this in the future. Manager Ding glared at Yun Chuzhou viciously. Humph. I'll let you off this time on account of Elder Huang. Don't offend me in the future, or I won't let you off. Manager Ding kicked the table where Yun Chuzhou and the others were eating and left. Mei Li was panting heavily and was about to chase after them when Ho Tian also stood up angrily. Although Bei Yuan did not do anything, there was anger in his eyes. The rest of them also showed dissatisfaction and resentment. Old man Huang sighed. Forget it. Forget it. We can't afford to offend him. Let's eat. Little girl, try to avoid him in the future. Don't you have a storage bag? Put more spiritual food in the storage bag and feed this little thing when we return to the dormitory. Yun Chuzhou nodded. She wondered what kind of background that bullshit Manager Ding had that made the people at the kitchen so afraid. She would ask again after some time. They were not familiar with each other then, so they might not be willing to tell her. Just after breakfast, someone shouted arrogantly from outside, Yun Chuzi, Yun Chu, Yun Chuzhou. Come out. On the order of our law enforcement agency's Elder Shao, we will take you to be interrogated. Little girl, what's going on? Elder Huang was shocked. How did they provoke West Peak's law enforcement agency after only being there for a day? Yun Chuzhou pursed her lips. Elder Huang, I didn't want to mention this at first. Since they're here, then. Well, let's talk outside. Everyone in the big kitchen followed Yun Chuzhou and the others out. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and picked up a large copper basin and a spoon to hold the dishes. Although everyone was baffled, no one said anything. Humph. Yun Chuzhou, you dare to beat up law enforcement disciples. We're under Elder Shao's orders to bring you in to interrogate. The one who spoke was Lu Qingzhen. He looked at Yun Chuzhou viciously. Darn girl, as long as you are expelled from the Spirit Radiance sect, it would be the start of your doom. Elder Huang smiled apologetically. Junior brother, is there some misunderstanding? Yun Chuzhou and the others just reported to duty at our big kitchen last night. How could they beat up law enforcement disciples? Get out of my way, you old bastard. You're just a handyman and have no right to speak. Lu Qingzhen pushed Elder Huang away. Elder Huang was caught off guard and almost fell. Yun Chuzhou jumped forward and kicked Lu Qingzhen in the stomach. Lu Qingzhen was unprepared. He was kicked more than 100 feet away by Yun Chuzhou. Never in his dreams did Lu Qingzhen think that Yun Chuzhou would have the guts to kick him in front of so many people. Shut your damn mouth. Didn't your family teach you how to respect the old and love the young? Do you know how to speak human language? Yun Chuzhou said as she jumped to Lu Qingzhen's side. While he was still in a daze, she kicked his mute acupoint. Yun Chujio picked up the spoon and banged on the copper basin. Come and take a look. The West Peaks Law Enforcement Agency is bullying us. They're going to storm Middle Peaks Dining Hall. Those from the south and the north, don't miss it. Chapter 135, No choice but to suffer in silence. There were still some disciples who had not left the cafeteria. When they heard the commotion, they all ran out to watch the commotion. Although they did not care about the people in the cafeteria, and they usually yelled a lot, no matter what, this was Middle Peaks territory. If the people from the West Peak came here to show off, would it not be a slap to the face for Middle Peak? Seeing that more and more people were watching, Yun Chujio jumped onto a big rock with a whoosh. Her small face wrinkled, and she said with a grievance, "Senior brothers and sisters, the 7 of us were just assigned to Middle Peak's big kitchen last night. As it was too late, the canteen was already closed. We were so hungry that we thought of going up the mountain to find some wild fruits to satisfy our hunger. Unexpectedly, as soon as we reached the top of the mountain, a few bolts of lightning came down from the sky and struck the trees nearby. The few of us looked at it and realized that this was our Middle Peaks property. How could we just stand by and watch? Thus, we spent a lot of effort to put out the fire. Just as we were about to head back, guess what we discovered?" Yun Chujio kept them guessing in a mysterious manner. Everyone's appetite was raised. They widened their eyes and pricked up their ears to continue listening. "We discovered that the lightning coincidentally killed a nest of rabbits. We were already hungry, so how could we endure the smell of roasted meat? Thus, we ate the rabbit meat there. Who would have thought that Lu Qingzhen brought 2 people up to scold us without any reason, saying that we were going to set fire to the mountain and drive us out of the sect?" Hearing what he said, we were immediately frightened and hurriedly tried to explain. However, he didn't listen to our explanation at all and wanted to tie us up and take us to West Peak. We let that be, but kept foul-mouthing us, saying that those in Middle Peak were all losers and that we're useless. Originally, we wanted to endure it, but hearing what he said made us instantly furious. It's fine if he wronged us, but he actually dared to insult Middle Peak. Thus, we started arguing with him. We don't know if he's guilty or not, but he missed a step and slipped down a small hill. We thought that this matter would be settled, but unexpectedly, he actually called a deer a horse and slandered us for beating up law enforcement disciples. Everyone, don't you think he's bullying us too much? Although Yun Chuzi and the others cooperated with her and revealed an aggrieved and angry expression, their hearts felt as if thousands of divine beasts were whizzing past them. "Little Jiu, you really aren't human. Your lies are too smooth. If we weren't the parties involved, we would all think that what you said was true. Fuck. Those bastards from the West Peak are such bullies, aren't they? Are they bullying us for being nobodies? That's right. What's wrong with West Peak's law enforcement agency? What does it have to do with you guys if we eat a few rabbits that were killed by lightning? Could it be that the rabbits are your ancestors? Damn it. Why didn't you fall to your death? How dare they come to us and bite us back? Get lost." Yun Chujia's eyes lit up. "Fuck, the people from Middle Peak are really to my liking." The scolding was too good and was so technical. She added fuel to the fire. "Senior brothers and sisters, we, the individuals from Middle Peak, are reasonable people. Don't listen to my words. Let Lu Qingzhen say something. Lu Qingzhen, tell me. Is what I said true?" Yun Chujio pointed at Lu Qingzhen, who was so angry that he almost passed out. Lu Qingzhen had already been helped up by someone. When he heard Yun Chujia's nonsense, he was so angry that he wanted to scold her. However, he was shocked to find that no matter how hard he tried to talk, he could not say a word. He was so furious that his face was red. However, he could not say a single word. Chapter 136, really fucking useless. When everyone saw this, they were even more certain that what Yun Chuzhou said was true. Otherwise, why did Lu Qingzhen not say anything? He must be feeling guilty. Yun Chuzhou smiled contemptuously. Did everyone see that? What do you mean by staying speechless? This is what he meant. He didn't have any reason and still came to Middle Peak to act atrociously. He's really too much. He wants to bring us to West Peak's Law Enforcement Agency Hall. In order not to cause trouble for Middle Peak, we obediently followed him. It's just that he's too much of a bully. After Yun Chuzhou finished speaking, she jumped down from the big rock and walked to the side of Yun Chuzi and the others. She sighed. Brothers and sisters, let's follow them. The West Peak's Law Enforcement Agency isn't someone we can afford to offend. I didn't expect that in order to protect the Middle Peak's property, we would be backstabbed by Lu Qingzhen. We can only blame our bad luck. The disciples of the Middle Peak immediately exploded. Even those who had courage could not bear it all. The people of the West Peak were too much of a bully. This was a slap in the face to them. Damn it. Let's go. Well, go too. I don't believe that this Spirit Radiance sect doesn't have rules. Why does the West Peak's Law Enforcement Agency have the say-so? They can do whatever they want now. That's right. What right do they have to bully the people of Middle Peak? Besides, these 7 rookies have just entered the sect. How could they be so bold as to beat up the disciples of the Law Enforcement Agency? Well, they had already selectively forgotten about the matter of Yun Chuzhou kicking Lu Qingzhen. Let's go. Let's go. Well, I'll go with them. Didn't they say that Elder Xiao Pancher of the West Peak is the most impartial? We'd like to see how he handles this matter. Lu Qingzhen was so angry that he was trembling, but he could not say anything. The 2 people who were with him the day before did not follow him, so he could only glare at Yun Chuzhou. He was furious in his heart. Stupid girl, just you wait. When we reach the West Peak and have a witness, let's see how you'll defend yourself. Yun Chuzhou maintained a wronged look on her face. From time to time, she would even twitch a few times. Some of the female disciples of Middle Peak could not bear it anymore and kept comforting her. Junior sister, don't be afraid. The people of Middle Peak aren't easy to bully. That's right. We're not afraid of the shadow. If the Law Enforcement Agency of the West Peak is unreasonable, we will not let it go. Yun Chuzhou suddenly burst into tears. Sob sob. You guys are really too kind. That's great. I, Yun Chuzhou, will be a member of Middle Peak in the future. If I die, it'll be a ghost of Middle Peak. If anyone dares to say bad things about our Middle Peak, it'll bite them to death. The more Yun Chuzhou talked, the more the disciples of the Middle Peak felt that Lu Qingzhen's crime was unforgivable. All of them gritted their teeth and stared at him, wishing they could go up and smite him. Lu Qingzhen was about to break down. According to common sense, these 7 odd-job workers should be trembling in fear and obediently following him. How did they make it such a big issue? He thought about it again. Humph. So what if they made it a big issue? There was no thunder and lightning yesterday. They were the ones who started the fire. The bigger the issue, the heavier the punishment would be for them. Yun Chuzhou tapped the copper basin with her spoon and began to sing, Little cabbage, yellow in the ground, poor child, bullied, wronged, wronged. Peach blossoms bloom, apricot blossoms fall, no one cares, a gust of wind, wronged, wronged. Yun Chujia's singing was very sincere, and Little Black on the side cried. It was really sad to hear, and one would tear just from listening. When everyone heard it, they all felt that Lu Qingzhen was really something. Chapter 137. No matter what time it was, there was no lack of spectators. Soon, there were more and more people behind Yun Chuzhou. Most of them were from Middle Peak, but there were also some from other areas. The spectators were curious to find out what was going on. Since Lu Qingzhen could not speak and the other members of the law enforcement team did not know the whole story, Yun Chujiu patiently described the truth over and over again. After a few brainwashing sessions, even Yin Chuzi and the others felt that that was the truth. When the crowd heard what happened, they naturally could not help but scold Lu Qingzhen. In addition, the West Peak Law Enforcement Agency had offended a lot of people. Immediately, the crowd became excited. The few members of the law enforcement team were so scared that they did not dare to say a word. Finally, they reached the West Peak. Lu Qingzhen and the others heaved a sigh of relief. How arrogant could these people be when they reached their territory? The law enforcement agency on the West Peak was located halfway up the mountain. When the disciples of the law enforcement agency saw a huge crowd of people swarming over, they were shocked. What was the meaning of this? Why were there still people knocking on the basin and singing songs? Lu Qingzhen's face was purple with anger. He rushed into the law enforcement agency hall and found the manager, Qian Chong. He angrily gestured with his hands. Qian Chong had always been good to Lu Qingzhen. That day's law enforcement order was also issued by him. When he saw Lu Qingzhen in that condition, he could not help but feel puzzled. "Junior brother Lu, what's wrong with you? Say something." Lu Qingzhen was so anxious that he stomped his feet, but he still could not say a word. At that time, there was already an uproar outside the law enforcement agency. "Clear the name of our Middle Peak disciple. Clear the name of our Middle Peak disciple." Lu Qingzhen had gone too far. Kick that scum Lu Qingzhen out of the Spirit Radiance sect. Qian Chong was really a little dumbfounded. Did Lu Qingzhen not went out to arrest people? Why was he being chased out of the sect now? What was going on? Qian Chong quickly called the people who followed Lu Qingzhen over. After asking about the situation, he frowned. He did not know whether Yun Chujiu had done it intentionally or not, but she had actually caused a huge commotion. If he did not handle it well, it would definitely cause the dissatisfaction of Middle Peak. At that point, it was better to ask Elder Shao to handle it personally. Qian Chong rushed to the door and cupped his hands at the crowd. "Everyone, please don't jump to conclusions before the matter is fully investigated. I will go and..." Seeing Qian Chong being so polite, the crowd did not dare to say anything else, so they temporarily quieted down. Qian Chong did not dare to be negligent and hurriedly went to ask Elder Shao Pancher. "Elder Shao. Something has happened at the law enforcement agency." Qian Chong rushed to the outside of Elder Shao's courtyard and reported anxiously. "Something has happened. What happened?" Elder Shao quickly walked out of the courtyard. Qian Chong rambled on about what had happened. Elder Shao frowned and said with slight disgust, "Yesterday, I said that this Yun Chujiu was opportunistic and restless. Indeed, she has only entered the sect for 1 day and has already caused such a big incident. How naughty." "Elder Shao, why do you think junior brother Lu suddenly lost his voice?" Qian Chong was very puzzled. "Humph. That little girl has a lot of wicked ideas. She must have done something. This old man is not blind. Let's go and take a look." If what Lu Qingzhen said is true, this Yun Chujiu should indeed be expelled from the Spirit Radiance sect. Elder Shao said angrily as he walked. The two of them had yet to reach the law enforcement agency when they heard someone screaming non-stop. It was like the wailing of ghosts and howling of wolves. It was too horrible to listen to. Chapter 138, It Really Isn't My Fault. Elder Shao and Manager Qian hastened their steps. When the onlookers saw Elder Shao coming, they bowed and made way for him. Elder Shao snorted coldly and passed through the crowd. He saw a disciple lying on the ground, crying and rolling around. "Junior brother Lu." Manager Qian was shocked. "What are you guys standing there for? Hurry up and help junior brother Lu up." Senior Brother Qian. Elder Xiao. Lu Qingshan's nose was full of snot and tears. You must help me make a decision. This Yun Chuzhou actually hit me in public. She's extremely arrogant. Manager Qian was stunned. Junior Brother Lu, you can speak now. Only then did Lu Qingshan come to his senses. He pointed at Yun Chuzhou and shouted, "It must be this damned girl's doing. Elder Xiao, you must drive this Yun Chuzhou out of the Spirit Radiance sect." Elder Xiao looked at Yun Chuzhou unhappily. Looking at Yun Chuzhou's attire, he became even more displeased. She was such a good girl. Why was there a handkerchief wrapped around her head? She actually had two small tails. With one look, it was obvious that she was not well behaved. There was also a fire-breathing crow on her shoulder. That fire-breathing crow stared with its possessed eyes and opened and closed its mouth. No one knew what it was doing. It did not look likable. What kind of master would have a spiritual pet like that? In fact, the little black bird was secretly talking about making Elder Xiao fall. Unfortunately, it did not work even after 8 times. Yun Chuzhou, how do you explain it? Let's not talk about what happened before. Why did you beat up a disciple of the law enforcement agency outside West Peak Law Enforcement Agency? Elder Xiao asked unhappily with a sullen face. Yun Chuzhou glanced at Elder Xiao. So this was the white trash man's backer. One look and you could tell that he's old-fashioned. Elder Xiao, it's not that I want to beat up Lu Qingshan, but he took the initiative to provoke and beat me up. I dodged a few times, but he was still aggressive. I accidentally touched him. In all conscience, I just touched him lightly, and he laid on the ground and cried like a ghost. This really isn't my fault. Nonsense. What nonsense? Why would Lu Qingshan beat you for no reason? Elder Xiao was very unhappy, and the pressure spread in all directions. The people present felt suffocated and very uncomfortable. Yun Chuzhou said calmly as if nothing had happened, "Elder Xiao, if you don't believe me, you can ask the people here whether I'm lying." Elder Xiao pointed at a disciple of the West Peak. "You. Tell me what happened just now. If you dare to lie." Ha! Under Elder Xiao's pressure, that disciple did not dare to hide and told the truth about what happened just now. After Manager Qian left, Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes and thought to herself. She pointed at Lu Qingshan's mute acupoint. That Elder Xiao might be able to find out. It was better for her to find a way to untie his acupoint. Lu Qingshan, when Elder Xiao comes later, I advise you to turn yourself in. Be lenient if you confess and be strict if you resist. Don't resist stubbornly and make mistakes again and again. Yun Chuzhou said with a sincere tone. Lu Qingshan was already full of anger. Now that Yun Chuzhou said that, he was so angry that his eyes were red. Yun Chuzhou acted as if she did not see it and continued, "Lu Qingshan, do you already know that you're wrong? Is that why you've been speechless? This shows that you still have some sense of shame. You're not too much of a bastard." Before Yun Chuzhou could finish her words, Lu Qingshan jumped over and raised his hand to slap Yun Chuzhou's face. Yun Chuzhou turned to the side and said aggrievedly, "Lu Qingshan, have you lost your mind? Everything I said was good." The more Yun Chuzhou talked, the angrier Lu Qingshan became. He attacked Yun Chuzhou repeatedly. Just when the crowd was about to stop him, Yun Chuzhou seemed to have inadvertently bumped into Lu Qingshan, and Lu Qingshan fell to the ground. He started to cry like a ghost and howl like a wolf. Elder Xiao asked a few more disciples. There was almost no difference in what he said. Elder Xiao glared at Lu Qingshan. That little girl was obviously trying to provoke him. This idiot actually went up and let someone beat him up. He deserved it. Elder Xiao looked at Yun Chuzhou coldly. Let's not pursue this matter. What happened when you set the mountain on fire yesterday? The law enforcement team went to stop it, and you even hit someone. You're really lawless. According to the sect rules, you should be expelled from the sect. Chapter 139, Elder Xiao, whose side are you on? Yun Chuzhou's side. Elder Xiao, I don't know how Lu Qingzhen reported to you, but the truth is this. Yun Chuzhou repeated what she had said several times, and then asked with an aggrieved and innocent face, Elder Xiao, everyone said that you're the most fair and impartial. You're not going to protect Lu Qingzhen, right? Elder Xiao snorted, I'll find out the truth. Even if you say all kinds of things, you must use facts to speak. I'll go to the back of the mountain at Middle Peak to see the truth. At that time, it'll be clear who is right and who is wrong. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes, Elder Xiao, you can't go alone. If you want to go, well, go together. Elder Xiao said disdainfully, do you think he'll cheat? Fine. Since that's the case, all of you will go with me. Therefore, Elder Xiao walked in front, followed by Yun Chuzhou who kept nagging, and by Lu Qingzhen and the people from the law enforcement agency, and lastly, the onlookers. Lu Qingzhen was so depressed that he vomited blood. He was the plaintiff. He was the plaintiff. He was the plaintiff. Why did that wretched girl always follow behind Elder Xiao? It felt like he was the defendant. Yun Chuzhou did not have that kind of self-awareness. Elder Xiao's cold air was useless to her. She just babbled to Elder Xiao on her own, from the white scum of Yi City to Lu Qingzhen twisting the situation. Elder Xiao sneered and did not believe a single word. He felt that Yun Chuzhou was a little scoundrel. Yun Chuzhou had a little plan in her heart. It did not matter if he did not listen to her. There were still so many people behind her. She had to occupy this public opinion position at all times and places. Moreover, she would follow you at any time to prevent you from playing tricks. Who knew if you would make a confession with that Lu Qingzhen? This was what she meant by being careful. Elder Xiao really could not stand Yun Chuzhou's behavior of reciting scriptures, so he simply released his mount from his spiritual beast bag. When everyone saw Elder Xiao's spirit beast, they could not help but exclaim in admiration. Heavens! It's a Tier 8 gold-spotted scarlet flame tiger. Tier 8? My goodness! That's equivalent to the 9th level of the Spirit Cultivator realm. 9th level of Spirit Cultivator realm? That's really awesome. There aren't many inner sect disciples who have reached the 5th level of the Spirit Cultivator realm. That gold-spotted scarlet flame tiger had already gained sentience a long time ago. When it heard everyone's praise, it wagged its tail proudly. Yun Chuzhou was thinking, I haven't eaten tiger meat before. I wonder if the tiger meat is delicious. She heard that the butt of a tiger could not be touched, so she really wanted to touch it. Yun Chuzhou was surprisingly bold. When Elder Xiao jumped onto the back of the tiger, she also jumped up shamelessly. She grabbed the tiger fur on the back of the tiger and said, Elder Xiao, I'm still young and have no spiritual power. Please pity me and take me with you. I know you'll not refuse. You're such an upright person. You always help the weak. Elder Xiao tried his luck and finally resisted the idea of pulling Yun Chuzhou off the tiger's back. He said coldly, sit down and shut up. Yun Chuzhou nodded obediently and said, okay, I promise I won't say anything. Elder Xiao rode the scarlet flame tiger because he did not want to hear Yun Chuzhou talking. Now that his ears were finally quiet, he turned a blind eye to Yun Chuzhou's carpooling behavior. Yun Chuzhou sat on the tiger's back, her calves swaying happily. From time to time, she would turn around and make a face at Lu Qingzhen. Lu Qingzhen was so depressed when he saw this situation that he wanted to hit his head against the wall. Elder Xiao, whose side are you on? Elder Xiao, what happened to being impartial and being a black-faced judge? No matter how you look at it, it feels like you are the help that this wretched girl brought. Chapter 140, plucked a handful of tiger fur. Yun Chujio resisted the urge to touch the tiger's buttocks and secretly plucked a handful of tiger fur. This thing should be quite good as a writing brush. The gold-spotted scarlet flame tiger shivered in pain. Although it had gained intelligence, it was only limited to expressing vague emotions. Elder Shao thought that the tiger was unhappy because there was an extra person sitting on its body, so he ignored it. Little did he know that the guy sitting behind him not only wanted to eat tiger meat, but also plucked a bunch of tiger fur. The crowd arrived at the back mountain of Middle Peak. Elder Shao jumped off the tiger's back and returned it into his spiritual beast bag. Lu Qingzhen courageously squeezed his way to Elder Shao's side. Elder Shao, the crime scene is right in front of us. I'll lead the way for you. Yesterday, Yun Chujio and the others made a fire to roast a rabbit to eat. I tried to persuade them, but she kicked me. It's this slope. I rolled down from it. Lu Qingzhen said as he glared fiercely at Yun Chujio. Damn girl, when we reach the place, you'll see how you're going to defend yourself. At that moment, everyone smelled a burnt smell. It was really difficult to determine where it came from. Yun Chuzi and the others were anxious. They did not know what little Jiu did the day before. She was clearly making a fire to roast rabbits. How could Elder Shao not see through it? There really was a lighting the day before. Could it have coincidentally struck the area they were at? Lu Qingzhen caught a glimpse of the expressions of Yun Chuzi and the others. He felt proud in his heart. One look at their expressions and he could tell that they were guilty. Humph, smelly girl. Qinghua had already set up an ambush. As long as you're driven out of the Spirit Radiance sect, the men would immediately be killed and the women would be sold to the banquet hall to be used as cauldrons. Lu Qingzhen walked hastily. He quickly arrived at the place where Yun Chujio and the others had roasted the rabbits. Elder Shao, this is the place. Look, is this struck by lightning? Lu Qingzhen's smug expression instantly froze. He saw that the ground was filled with branches and tree trunks that had been struck by lightning. There were also some rabbit bones on them, and there were also traces of lightning strikes on some of the trees beside them. Yun Chuzi and the others were just as surprised as Lu Qingzhen. Could it be that they were really that lucky? Was the heavenly thunder really so coincidental to help them? Elder Shao. Everyone. I think I don't need to say much after seeing this scene, right? The 7 of us put out the mountain fire on an empty stomach. It's fine that we didn't receive any rewards, but we were actually bitten by a villain. Oh right, maybe I'm overthinking things. When we participated in the entrance test yesterday, we eliminated a person named Lu Qinghua. Not only is his name similar to Lu Qingzhen's, even his looks are similar. Yun Chujio stopped talking at this point. Sometimes, half a sentence allowed more space for imagination. Sure enough, after listening to Yun Chujio's words, everyone thought about it. With the evidence that they knew, Lu Qingzhen and Lu Qinghua really had a relationship. Lu Qingzhen was Lu Qinghua's cousin. Instantly, the sense of justice of the bystanders exploded. Elder Shao, Lu Qingzhen is obviously framing him. Yes. He's using the public office to seek personal revenge. He has ulterior motives. We must punish him severely. Otherwise, where is the prestige of the law enforcement team? Yes. We must punish him severely. Lu Qingzhen is not a human. Expel Lu Qingzhen, this scum, from our Spirit Radiance sect. We don't want to be fellow disciples with such a person. Elder Shao snorted coldly and radiated a coercive aura. Everyone immediately quieted down and did not dare to say anything else. Lu Qingzhen framed his fellow disciples and used public office to take revenge for his own personal grudge. His influence is vile, and he has crippled his cultivation. From today onward, he will be expelled from the Spirit Radiance sect. Elder Shao looked deeply at Yun Chujio and continued, Yun Chujio and the other 7 protectors have done a meritorious deed. Each of them will be rewarded with 5 spirit stones. Chapter 141, Isn't It Just a Name? After hearing Elder Xiao's decision, Lu Qingshan's eyes rolled to the back and he fainted. Everyone cheered and praised Elder Xiao for being fair. They even lamented that good versus evil would be rewarded in the end. Yun Chuzi and the others had mixed feelings in their hearts. If it was not for little Jiu being vigilant this time, they would definitely have been expelled from the sect. They must learn more from little Jiu in the future. As for Yun Chujiu, this fellow was actually secretly ridiculing them. This Elder Xiao is really fucking stingy. He's only giving us 5 spirit stones. Before Elder Xiao left, he gave Yun Chujiu a deep look and said, "Take good care of yourself." Then, he rode off and left. Good my ass. Tui. If it was not for the fact that this young lady was extremely intelligent, would she not have been chased out of the Spirit Radiance sect by an old fogey like him? Yun Chujiu bowed deeply to everyone. Senior brothers and sisters, it's all thanks to everyone for upholding justice for us today. If it weren't for all of you, we might really been wronged. In terms of spiritual power, everyone here is stronger than us, and we don't have any great abilities either. However, when everyone comes to the cafeteria to eat, we will definitely do our best to help everyone. Yun Chujia's words unobtrusively flattered everyone, and then she expressed her gratitude from the bottom of her heart. When everyone heard this, their hearts were full and they all expressed that their actions were chivalrous and did not seek anything in return. Yun Chujiu was escorted back to the cafeteria. It was lunchtime and the cafeteria was filled with people. After the onlookers entered, they began to ramble on and on about the incident. Those disciples who did not go felt regretful. They had actually missed such a wonderful show. However, these servants had really brought pride to Middle Peak. What they did was equivalent to slapping the West Peak Law Enforcement Agency in the face. Therefore, when it was time for dinner, many disciples started to pay attention to Yun Chujiu and the others. When they saw Yun Chujia's shabby appearance, they felt a little pity and sympathy for her. Word spread like wildfire. Soon, almost everyone in the Spirit Radiance sect heard about this matter. Yun Chujiu and the others immediately became famous, especially because Yun Chujiu herself was too discerning. She was the youngest, the tankiest, and a good-for-nothing without any spiritual power. She even had a weird-looking handkerchief wrapped around her head and 2 small tails behind her head. Plus, she also had a fire-breathing crow as her spiritual pet. In the next few days, there were obviously many more people who came to the Middle Peak cafeteria for dinner than usual. Most of them were there to see Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu did not mind. She could just watch. After all, she would not lose a piece of meat if she did. During dinner that day, there was commotion in the cafeteria. It was among the female disciples. All of them looked at a person with watery eyes. That person walked over to Yun Chujiu, who was serving the dishes. "Junior sister Little Jiu, can we talk outside for a moment?" Yun Chujiu looked up and saw that it was Feng Ming. It was all thanks to him that she was able to enter the Spirit Radiance sect. Therefore, Yun Chujiu smiled very brightly. "Senior brother Feng Ming, long time no see." Yun Chujiu greeted Elder Huang and followed Feng Ming out of the cafeteria. "Little girl, I didn't expect that after a few days of not seeing you, you would become famous in the Spirit Radiance sect," Feng Ming said with some ridicule. Yun Chujiu laughed dryly. "Sorry for making you laugh. What famous person? Isn't it just a person's name?" Feng Ming listened to Yun Chujiu's interesting words and started chatting with Yun Chujiu. Yun Chujiu also felt that Feng Ming was experienced and knowledgeable. It was rare that he did not put on airs, so the more they chatted, the happier they became. In the end, Feng Ming even curiously touched the 2 little tails behind Yun Chujiu's head. As soon as Feng Ming touched it, he felt his scalp go numb. His body was catapulted outside and it fell to the ground in a sorry state. Chapter 142, Gigolo, Get the hell out of here. Yun Chuzhou was shocked. Senior brother Feng Ming, what happened to you? Feng Ming was stunned. Fuck. The image that he had maintained for so many years was ruined. Who was the one plotting against him? Feng Ming looked around. There were only a few disciples whispering to each other. There was no one suspicious at all. Ah, I've been practicing a spell recently. I made a mistake just now. Junior sister Little Jiu, this is a small snack I brought back from the outside. Take it back and eat it. Feng Ming jumped up and pretended to be calm. He handed a few paper bags to Yun Chuzhou. When Yun Chuzhou heard that there was food, she immediately beamed with joy. Thank you, senior brother Feng Ming. Well, then I'll leave first. I'll come and see you another day. Feng Ming always felt that his scalp was a little hairy. He had a feeling that he was being targeted by an almighty. After saying that, he left in a hurry. Yun Chuzhou waved her hand at Feng Ming and said sweetly, Senior brother Feng Ming, come and see me often in the future. Feng Ming felt as if his back was being pricked by needles. He answered vaguely and ran even faster. Yun Chuzhou shook her head in puzzlement. It was really strange. Could it be that senior brother Feng Ming was in a hurry to go to the toilet? How could he run so fast? Yun Chuzhou returned to the kitchen and some female disciples came up to her. Junior sister Little Jiu, why is senior brother Feng Ming looking for you? Yun Chuzhou quickly caught the envy and jealousy in the eyes of those female disciples. She smiled and said, Ah, it's nothing. Senior brother Feng Ming said that although I have protected Middle Peak's property, I shouldn't be arrogant and complacent, and I should learn from my senior brothers and sisters. He even mentioned a few names. The eyes of the female disciples immediately lit up, and they looked at Yun Chuzhou expectantly. Whose names did senior brother Feng Ming mention? Yun Chuzhou counted with her fingers and told almost all the female inner sect disciples that she knew. When the outer sect female disciples heard it, they immediately became dispirited and scattered. Yun Chuzhou smiled, hopped around, and asked Yun Chuzi to put away the oil paper bag. Then, she carried on with her work. After finishing her work, Yun Chuzhou shared the snacks in the oil paper bag with everyone. Then, she took her share and hopped back to her own yard while humming a little tune. As soon as she entered the yard, Yun Chuzhou felt her hair standing on its end. Her heart skipped a beat and she was about to run out. Get in here. If you dare to run, I'll break your legs. An angry shout came from inside the house. Yun Chuzhou closed her eyes and took a deep breath. A bright smile instantly appeared on her face. Ah, so it's you, my Prince Charming. I'll go in now. How do you want me to approach you? Do you want me to do it politely, or shall I enter ravishingly? A cold snort came from inside the house. Black thing. If you continue to dawdle, I'll tear your house down. Yun Chuzhou cursed the gigolo in her heart more than 100 times and ran all the way into the house. Yun Chuzhou entered the house and saw Di Baiming sitting on the chair with a gloomy face, staring at her with his dead eyes. You're finally willing to come home? Are you that greedy? Are you that worthless? Are you shameless just to get some food? Di Baiming recalled the scene he saw earlier and was burning with anger. He wanted to strangle that gigolo to death. Yun Chuzhou was stunned at first, then she threw the paper bag in her hand at Di Baiming. Gigolo! I've tolerated you for a long time. Who are you calling worthless? Who are you calling shameless? Get out! Yun Chuzhou had always been a big-hearted person and did not care what others said. However, for some reason, when she heard Di Baiming's words, her heart blazed like hellfire. If she did not vent her anger, she would go crazy. Chapter 143, Did not return home at night. Di Baiming turned his body sideways to avoid the oil paper bag. Then, he looked at Yun Chujio, who was as angry as a little lion. He was dumbfounded. Yun Chujio was obviously blinded by anger. She grabbed Di Baiming's collar and said, "Get out. Get out of here." Yun Chujio used all her strength, but she could not move Di Baiming even a little. Instead, she almost fell into Di Baiming's arms. "You're not going to get lost, are you?" "Fine. If you're not going to get lost, I will." Yun Chujio ran out of the house angrily. She slammed the door and ran out of the courtyard. Little Black, who had been worried all this time, quickly flew down from the tree at the courtyard and escaped with Yun Chujio. An Feng and An Yin, who were keeping watch in the dark, looked at each other. What was going on? Why did the ninth miss run out on her own? Why did she look so furious? Where was His Excellency? After a while, the sound of something breaking could be heard from inside the room. TSK. An Yin, I think His Excellency and the ninth miss were quarreling. Yes. He must be jealous. When he saw that gigolo touching the ninth miss head, the cold air from him almost froze me to death. If it weren't for the quality of the invisibility talisman, I would have been discovered by others. Yes. Our Lord is also a fool. He said that Miss Chio was angry, so he should have coaxed her. He unexpectedly took it out on his thing. TSK, how worrying. Yes. Damn, An Yin. Can't you say anything else aside from yes? Yes. An Feng was speechless. Yun Chujio left the courtyard angrily. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Little Black, do you think that gigolo is unreasonable? He actually said that I'm not worth anything and that I'm shameless. PFTT. He's the shameless one. How many opportunities have I presented to him? How many meals has he eaten from me? He's worthless. He's the shameless one. Master, you're right. That gigolo is the worst. The little black bird was still holding a grudge against Di Baiming for throwing it out. The two masters' pets secretly scolded Di Baiming. Then, Little Black asked weakly, "Master, that gigolo won't settle scores later, right? He won't strangle us to death, right?" "Humph. He still has to drink my blood. He won't kill me. If he wants to kill me, he would have done so just now. Let's go. We'll stay at Fifth Sister's place today," Yun Chujio said confidently. In fact, she was a little afraid. Impulse was the devil. Why did she not hold back? She hoped that the gigolo would not go rogue. She had not lived long enough. Yun Chujio brought the little black bird to Yun Chua's courtyard. Yun Chu was very puzzled. "Little Jiu, do you need me for something?" "Fifth sister, I miss you. I'll sleep over with you tonight," Yun Chujio said with a smile. Although Yun Chu was a little surprised, she did not care too much. Little Jiu was still young after all. Perhaps she was not used to living on her own, so the two sisters simply washed up and chatted for a while before resting. Yun Chujio, this heartless person, had already fallen asleep. Di Baiming was hopping around madly in the room. "Good. Very good. You black thing. You actually aren't coming home tonight." Di Baiming wanted to find Yun Chujio, but as soon as he got up, he felt dizzy and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fainted on the ground with a bang. Outside, An Feng and An Yin heard something amiss and rushed into the house. "Your Excellency! Your Excellency!" An Yin quickly took out a porcelain bottle from his storage ring, poured out a pill, and stuffed it into Di Baiming's mouth. "An Yin, what's going on? Why did our Excellency suffer such a serious internal injury?" An Feng suddenly lost his usual disregard, and his eyes were filled with hostility. Chapter 144, Liar, could it be that that person has also come to Qingxian continent? Besides him, I really can't think of anyone else who could injure our revered sir so badly. An Feng's expression froze. An Yin nodded. Yes, but he didn't gain any benefits either. His injury is even worse than our revered sir's. Humph. Our revered sir is too honest. If he was as calculative as the ninth miss, he would have already dealt with that person. Right, I'll go look for the ninth miss. Perhaps her blood would be beneficial to our revered sir's injury. An Feng turned around and ran to Yun Chua's courtyard after he finished speaking. He knocked on the door a few times. Miss Jiu, your master is here. He wants to see you. Yun Chujiu and Yun Chu were startled awake. Yun Chu was a little confused. Little Jiu, why is your master here? Isn't there someone guarding the Spirit Radiance Sect's mountain gate? Yun Chujiu gritted her teeth secretly. It must be the gigolo who sent An Feng to capture her. She would not fall for his trick. An Feng, the first courtyard on the left is my courtyard. Let master rest at my place for a night. I'll see him tomorrow morning. Miss Jiu, your master is seriously injured. If you don't go over, I'm afraid you won't be able to see him anymore. An Feng tried really hard to get Yun Chujiu back. Yun Chujiu curled her lips. Who the fuck are you lying to? That gigolo had just scolded me just now. How did he get seriously injured in such a short time? Seriously injured my ass. However, Yun Chu was shocked. Little Jiu, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and go take a look. I'll go with you. Seeing how worried Yun Chu was, Yun Chujiu could only say, Fifth sister, I'll go take a look. You don't have to go. My master has an ugly appearance and a strange temper. He also has epilepsy once in a while, so he can't meet outsiders. Outside, An Feng staggered. Miss Jiu, you're blatantly slandering our honored master. How could our honored master have an ugly appearance? Although his temper isn't that great, it can't be said that he has epilepsy, right? Besides, fifth sister, my master and the others sneaked into the Spirit Radiance sect. If they're discovered, it would be a great crime. The fewer people know, the better. Seeing that Yun Chujiu was insistent, Yun Chu could only give up and repeatedly remind her not to disobey her master, and that she must be more careful. Yun Chujiu obediently nodded her head and agreed. She put on her coat and left the house. Little Jiu rolled her eyes. Master, are they trying to trick us into going back? To kill us, silence us, and destroy the evidence. Humph. What's there to be afraid of? If worst comes to worst, I'll just kneel down and beg for mercy. Anyway, he said that I'm shameless. Yun Chujiu said indifferently. Little Black was speechless. Master, you really don't have any moral integrity. Yun Chujiu glanced at An Feng. Did the gigolo ask you to get me back? Gigolo? An Feng was stunned for a moment before he realized that Yun Chujiu was referring to their master. He almost knelt down for Yun Chujiu. My ninth miss, no wonder your esteemed self was so angry. You actually dared to call His Excellency a gigolo. His Excellency didn't strangle you on the spot all thanks to your ancestors. That. Ninth miss, don't use this title in the future. Otherwise, His Excellence won't be able to control his temper every time. An Feng felt that it was better to remind Yun Chujiu. Humph. That person told you to lie to me to get me back. Yun Chujiu decided to sideline the term Prince Charming. Pfft. Only that annoying person was not worthy of the term Prince Charming. That person. Ah. His Excellency is indeed seriously injured. It was already very serious. If he was angered by you again, he would have vomited blood. Otherwise, our Lord would have personally come to invite you back. And Feng decided to put in a good word for His Excellency. Chapter 145, Fell asleep. I angered him till he vomited blood. Do you think that he is Zhou Yu, and I am Zhuge Liang? He vomited blood because of me. If I could make him vomit blood by angering him, I would have thought of a way to piss him to death. Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes. And Feng might not understand who Zhou Yu and Zhuge Liang were, but he could still understand death. His expression was a little unhappy, but it made sense. No matter who was publicly cursed at their master's death, they would not be happy. Yun Chujiu coughed dryly. About that, I was just joking. Your master can live for at least 10,000 years. Humph. That's right, that gigolo was a tortoise that could live for 10,000 years. And Feng then continued, Miss Jiu, our lord was injured by someone. An Yin had fed him a pill just now, but he's still unconscious. Injured by someone? Who is so brave, Who is so bold to hit him? Yun Chujiu stuck out her tongue. Damn, she almost spoke her mind again. And Feng's eyes twitched. He is a sworn enemy of our revered sir. As they spoke, the two of them had already arrived at Yun Chujiu's courtyard. They pushed open the door and entered the house. An Yin bowed to Yun Chujiu and handed her a dagger. Yun Chujiu immediately jumped away. What do you mean? Does he want me to commit suicide? An Yin was stunned. Miss Jiu, didn't An Feng tell you? His Excellency's injuries are very serious. I hope that you can feed some of your blood to His Excellency. An Feng scratched his head. Yun Chujiu had brought up the topic and he had forgotten to talk about business. You two head out. I'll take care of him. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes. Was this the gigolo's new trick to torture her? An Feng remembered what Yun Chujiu had said. He said seriously, Miss Jiu, no matter what His Excellency has done to you previously, he has absolutely no intention of killing you. Moreover, His Excellency holds you in high regard, and he hopes that you will not do anything rash. Moreover, you still have the Yun family behind you. Yun Chujiu sneered, are you afraid that I'll kill him? Are you threatening me with the Yun family? If that's the case, then I'll go back. You can deal with it yourselves. An Feng smiled. Miss Jiu, I'm just guarding against the unexpected. I believe that you'll make the best choice. After saying that, An Feng signaled An Yin with his eyes, and the two of them closed the door and left. Yun Chujiu cursed in a low voice, what kind of master raises these kinds of underlings? They are all bad people. How dare they threaten me? An Feng, just you wait. I'll get my revenge sooner or later. Hey, stop pretending. Tell me, how do you want to torture me? Yun Chujiu turned around and said to Di Baiming, who was lying on the bed. After waiting for a long time, there was no movement at all. Yun Chujiu cupped her chin. Could it be true? Was the gigolo really unconscious? Yun Chujiu took small steps to the front of the bed and saw Di Baiming lying on his back. His eyes were tightly shut and his face was pale. Yun Chujiu's heart froze. Was he really injured? Yun Chujiu put her hand on Di Baiming's pulse to check. She frowned. He was really suffering from serious internal injuries. Who was so powerful that he could beat this pervert to such a state? Yun Chujiu picked up the dagger and cut her arm. Then, she used her right hand to open Di Baiming's mouth and let the blood slowly drip in. Hiss, damn it. It really hurts. This will be the reward for the cultivation technique you gave me. Yun Chujiu bared her teeth and fed Di Baiming more than 10 drops of blood. Di Baiming's face slowly turned from pale to red. Yun Chujiu could not help but complain. It seemed that her blood really had a miraculous effect on the gigolo. When Yun Chujiu saw that Di Baiming was fine, this big-hearted girl took a handkerchief to tie the wound. Then, she yawned and blew out the candle. She walked past Di Biming and fell asleep on the side of the bed. Chapter 146, The Gigolo Wants to Settle Scores in His Sleep. Di Biming felt that his limbs were tightly wrapped by an 8-clawed demonic fish. He was suddenly startled awake. Di Biming opened his eyes and could not help but be in a trance. Although he did not light a candle, the moon was very bright that night and the room was well lit. He saw Yun Chujio resting one arm on his chest and one leg on his leg. She was sleeping soundly. Saliva dripped from the corner of her mouth and she smacked her lips from time to time. The corner of Di Biming's eyes twitched and he said in a low voice, "So ugly." Di Biming glanced at the handkerchief wrapped around Yun Chujio's arm. There were faint traces of blood on it and he immediately figured the whole story. Di Biming's heart felt warm. The anger from before instantly dissipated. The black thing still cares about me. Those words from before must have been angry words. I will not lower myself to her level. Di Biming carefully moved Yun Chujio's arms and legs away, and then stretched out his arms to wrap them around Yun Chujio's waist. He raised his eyebrows slightly. Black thing, seeing that you're treating my injuries, I'll reluctantly hug you. Black thing is really too thin, she should be well nourished. This thought flashed through Di Biming's mind before he fell asleep. Wake up. Wake up. Let's go to work. Along with the sound of the bell, old Huang's energetic voice sounded. Yun Chujio frowned and mumbled, "It's so annoying. I have to wake up so early every day." Looking at the handsome face in front of her, Yun Chujio almost choked on her own saliva. Some scenes from the day before flashed through Yun Chujio's mind quickly. Then, her gaze fell on Di Biming's arm who was holding onto her waist. Yun Chujio carefully shouted, "Prince Charming. Prince Charming." This guy had long forgotten what she said yesterday. For her life, not only would she call him Prince Charming, she could even call him Ancestor. Di Biming did not react at all. He even lifted one of his legs and put it on Yun Chujio's body. Yun Chujio was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She really wanted to kick this gigolo down but... Ugh! She did not dare. "Prince Charming. Prince Charming." Yun Chujio called out a few more times but Di Biming still did not respond. Yun Chujio could only rely on her courage to carefully move Di Biming's arm down, and then move her leg down again. Just when she was relieved, Di Biming stretched out his arm again and wrapped it around Yun Chujio's waist. Yun Chujio could only carefully move away again, but she did not expect Di Biming to press his leg up on her again. After a few times, Yun Chujio was furious. This gigolo must have done it on purpose. Even if he was a dead man, he should have woken up by then. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said sneakily, "Forget it. At worst, I just won't go to work. I can't let go of such a good opportunity today. TSK, this body of my Prince Charming is really too fantastic. I didn't get to see enough last time. This time I can take off his clothes and have a good look." Yun Chujio stretched out her claws to take off Di Biming's clothes. Di Biming's eyelashes trembled. He opened his eyes and said in astonishment, "Black thing. How did you climb onto my bed? Get out. Prince Charming, you're wrong. I almost died from blood loss last night because of you. You don't even thank me and want me to get out. You won't have any friends like this." Yun Chujio pointed at her left arm. "Died because of you? If you didn't make me so angry that I vomited blood, why would I faint?" Di Biming recalled what happened last night and frowned. Yun Chujio almost gave herself a big slap. It was over. The gigolo was going to get even. Di Biming sat up and stared at Yun Chujio gloomily. "You said I was a gigolo yesterday. And you said I was worthless and shameless. And you asked me to get lost. Chapter 147, Children's Words Carry No Harm. Yun Chujio laughed dryly. Prince Charming, children's words carry no harm. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched. Children's words. You are really thick-skinned. That's right, I'm still young. Of course, what I said is considered children's words. Yun Chujio nonchalantly pretended to be young. A 14-year-old was a proper teenager in modern times. Di Baiming originally did not intend to pursue the matter from the previous night. Seeing Yun Chujio's gag, he took the opportunity and said, "Humph. This venerable self is magnanimous and will spare you this time. If there's a next time, this venerable self will not spare you." Yun Chujio heaved a sigh of relief in her heart and said fawningly, "A male god is indeed a male god. I'm going to go to work now. When you leave, close the courtyard door properly. Be careful not to be discovered." The corners of Di Baiming's mouth curled up and he lay back on the pillow. Who said I'm leaving? I'm going to stay in the Linghua faction for a period of time. Although your house is small and shabby, it doesn't attract any attention. I'll just stay here for now. What? You're not leaving? Yun Chujio cried out and almost jumped up from the bed. What? Don't you welcome me? Di Baiming stared at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio forced a smile. No, no. Why wouldn't I? I can't wait to see you every day. I'm too happy. Yes, I'm too excited. That's good. If you don't welcome me, just say it. I won't stay. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Damn it, do I dare to say it? If I do, this damn gigolo would strangle me to death. Then, Prince Charming, you take care of your own safety. I'll go to work now. Yun Chujio climbed out of bed and put on her shoes as she said carefully. This is for you. Don't eat the thing that bird gave you. Di Baiming took out a fruit from his storage ring. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. It was the same kind of spiritual fruit that she ate last time. She immediately beamed and said, "Thank you, Prince Charming. You're too kind." Yun Chujio ate the fruit in a few bites and hopped out of the house. When she was outside, Yun Chujio only remembered the last sentence that Di Baiming had just said. Bird? A bird gave her something? Fuck. The gigolo's mouth was too mean. He meant that Feng Ming was a bird. No wonder senior brother Feng Ming fell for no reason yesterday. It was the gigolo's doing. Yun Chujio shook her head. This gigolo was having a seizure. He gave her cultivation techniques and fruits when he was happy, and wanted to kill her when he was unhappy. What a lunatic. An Feng and an Yin saw Yun Chujio coming out and came over to salute. Yun Chujio curled her lips and threw the fruit core away. Forget it. I'm not worthy of your salute. Yesterday, you even threatened me with the Yun family. An Feng chuckled. Miss Jiu, things are urgent. I was also anxious because I was afraid that you would regret it in the future if you acted rashly. Our esteemed sir is a man who is hard to find in this universe. Don't lose him. Hide well and don't drag me into it. It wasn't easy for me to enter the Spirit Radiance sect. I don't want to be chased out the moment I enter. Yun Chujio thought to herself. Hard to find in the universe. I don't want him even if you gave him to me for free. What the heck? He's mental. An Feng said proudly, Miss Jiu, don't worry about this. Unless the Spirit Radiance sect's sect master and elders pay attention to this courtyard, there won't be any problems. That's good. I'm going to work now. You guys watch the house for me obediently. Yun Chujio put her hands behind her back and walked away in a smug manner. Humph. She would just take it as having 3 house dogs. Ha ha ha. Chapter 148, Men and Women Dining Together is not tiring. When Yun Chujio arrived at the dining hall, Yun Chu immediately came over and asked in a low voice, "Little Jiu, how's your master?" "He's fine. He's already gone. My master likes to be mysterious. It wasn't a serious injury in the first place," Yun Chujio said nonchalantly. When Yun Chu heard this, she was finally relieved. She returned to her post and began to wash the vegetables. After a few days, Yun Chujio had become very familiar with the people in the big kitchen, especially the few people in charge of the fire. Seeing that Yun Chujio was young, they let her take charge of only one pit. Yun Chujio slowly started the fire. She was thinking that her house would be occupied by the gigolo. For the next few days, she would go to Fifth Sister and the others to take turns living there. She did not believe that the gigolo would have the nerve to try and force her back. "Yes, that's right. Let's do it." After finishing work that day, Yun Chujio held Yun Chua's arm and said sweetly, "Fifth Sister, I'll sleep over with you today." Yun Chu also wanted to ask Yun Chujio about her master in detail, so she agreed readily. Yun Chujio thought proudly in her heart. "Gigolo, you can be my watchdog." "Humph. I can't afford to fight and hide." Just as Yun Chujio arrived at Yun Chua's door, Little Black flapped its short wings and flew over. "Master! Master!" The gigolo said that if you don't go back within 15 minutes, he will smash this row of houses into pieces. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth in anger. "Damn gigolo! Alright, you were the one who told me to go back. Don't regret it when the time comes." "Fifth Sister, I've thought about it. I think I'd better go back to my own place. I'll come back to your place another day." Yun Chu sighed. "Alright. Truly acting like a child. Always thinking out loud." Yun Chujio thought to herself, "Fifth Sister, it's not that I'm always thinking out loud. It's that damn gigolo who's always thinking out loud." Yun Chujio thought of an idea as she walked. She would definitely torture the gigolo. Yun Chujio did not knock on the door and entered the house casually. She saw that the broken pieces of the original table in the house were gone, and a brand new table was placed on it. There were 8 dishes on it, and Di Biming was eating slowly with his chopsticks. The 8 dishes were all delicious. Yun Chujio immediately forgot about the idea she had previously thought of. She said shamelessly, "Idol, do you feel lonely and cold eating alone?" Di Biming looked at her and said, "Go out and call an Fong and an Ian to come in and eat with me." Yun Chujio's face stiffened and she rubbed her hands with a dry smile. "Idol, as the saying goes, men and women go together. It's not tiring to eat. Let me accompany you. Don't call on them. They still need to be on guard." Men and women go together, and it was not tiring to eat. Di Biming almost spat out the rice in his mouth. Di Biming coughed dryly. I feel like I don't have the appetite to eat after seeing you." Yun Chujio was so angry that she rolled her eyes. "Fuck. You fucking see that I don't have the appetite, so why did you call me back so eagerly? This gigolo really doesn't have any good intentions. He is torturing me with delicious food." Di Biming saw that Yun Chujio was so angry that she was twitching. The corner of his mouth curled up. "Shouldn't you have already eaten your dinner at the big kitchen? Can you still eat?" Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. "Yes. I can. I'm not full to begin with." "Okay. Then let's eat together." Yun Chujio immediately smiled like a flower. "Prince Charming, you're such a good person." Di Biming took out a pair of bowls and chopsticks from his storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio decided to scrap the previous bad idea. There was still something to be said for a gigolo. Chapter 149. Indeed, a nouveau riche Yun Chujio could not wait to pick up a piece of food and put it into her mouth. Then, her eyes narrowed into slits as she wolfed down the food. Di Biming put down his chopsticks after a few mouthfuls. Seeing that Yun Chujio was enjoying the food, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. If he continued to feed the black thing like this, it would definitely gain weight. When the time came, he would not have to hug it anymore. Yun Chujio did not know about Di Biming's fattening up plan. The taste of the meal was really too good. It was 100 times better than the food cooked in the big kitchen. In the end, when she could not eat anymore, she reluctantly put down her chopsticks. At that moment, she was thinking, sigh, it would be great if I could use the storage bag publicly. Then, I could save these leftovers for tomorrow's meal. Di Biming saw that Yun Chujio had finished eating. He waved his hand and the leftovers on the table disappeared. Then, there was an exquisite small teapot and 2 small teacups on the table. Prince Charming, how did you know that I was thirsty? You're so considerate. You're the most generous person that I've ever met. Yun Chujio had food and drink, and her small mouth was full of compliments. Di Biming barely managed to control the corner of his mouth that kept rising. He nodded lightly and began to savor the tea. Yun Chujio was like a cow chewing on a peony. She tried the tea to see that it was not hot and drank it in one gulp. Then, she poured herself 1 cup after another. After pouring a few cups, Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. Prince Charming, how can your teapot be so good at storing tea? After pouring so many cups, the flavor of the tea is still so robust. Di Biming saw that Yun Chujio's eyes were sparkling, and the little tail on the back of her head was trembling. His heart inexplicably felt weak. He smiled and said, this is the heaven and earth teapot. It actually has a big space cloaked in this small item. A rich man. Indeed, a rich man. Too rich. Yun Chujio said enviously, Prince Charming, you're really too rich. Not only do you have a storage ring, you even have a teapot that can store things. Sigh, unlike me. I have a low-level broken storage bag that I can't use publicly. Di Biming raised his eyebrows, why can't you use it publicly? Prince Charming, didn't you tell me? I'm at level 3 of the spirit cultivator realm. I can't let anyone know that I can release my spiritual power. I remember everything you said. That's why I didn't dare to say that I can use my storage bag, so I left it with my 4th brother. Yun Chujio seamlessly expressed her loyalty. As expected, when Di Biming heard that Yun Chujio was so obedient, his mood improved. He thought for a while, then took out a small ring from his storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujio. This ring is the same as my storage ring. It can be hidden according to the master's wishes. Drop your blood in to refine it. Before Di Biming finished his sentence, Yun Chujio snatched the ring away. She was no longer afraid of pain. She bit her middle finger with her little white teeth and dripped her blood on the ring. Ha ha ha. You can really hide things in here. My Prince Charming, you're so cute. I love you so much. Yun Chujio was jumping up and down in joy. Now, she liked Di Biming 100 times more. Di Biming looked at Yun Chujio's lively appearance. The corners of his mouth curled up and his eyes were full of love. My Prince Charming, you're so good to me. I can't repay you. In the future, you can drink my blood as much as you want, as long as you don't drink me to death. Yun Chujio said with a smile. When Di Biming heard Yun Chujio's words, he felt inexplicably uncomfortable in his heart. Did you think I gave you something just to drink your blood? Di Biming's face sank immediately. Get out. I want to cultivate. Chapter 150, Liars Will Be Struck by Lightning. Yun Chujio was stunned for a moment before she left the house in a huff. Crazy. He really is crazy. A second ago, it was still spring, but the next second, it's ice and snow. To think that I thought you weren't bad. Turns out you're still crazy. The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the angrier she got. She simply squatted on the ground and used a tree branch to write and draw. Little Black saw that Di Biming did not come out, so it flew down from the tree and landed beside Yun Chujio. When it saw the things on the ground, its small eyes blinked. Master, your resentment is so deep. Yun Chujio drew a small person on the ground and poked it with a tree branch. As she poked, she cursed softly, "Gigolo. Bastard. Gigolo. You don't know how to appreciate a good person. Gigolo. You're crazy. Gigolo. I'll stab you to death." Anfeng and Anin hid at the side and looked at each other. Neither of them dared to come out. It seemed that the ninth miss was very angry. They did not know what His Majesty was trying to do. Since he liked her, why did he always make her angry? After poking a few deep pits on the ground, Yun Chujio's mood improved a little. She decided not to lower herself to the level of a gigolo. Besides, being angry was to punish herself with other people's mistakes. She was not that stupid. Yun Chujio accidentally caught a glimpse of the spirit fruit core that was thrown away in the morning. Her heart skipped a beat. The taste of the fruit was too good. The gigolo might not give it to her again in the future. She might as well plant this fruit core, in case it could grow into a fruit tree. Then would she not always have a fruit to eat? Ha! She was really too smart. Yun Chujio did what she said. She found a sunny place, took a small stick, and made a small hole, burying the fruit core inside. "Miss Jiu, that's a Hundun fruit. The conditions for its growth are very harsh. Our venerable one searched for a long time before he found one. Even if you plant it, it won't sprout." Anfeng saw that Yun Chujio's anger was almost gone, so he dared to come over and talk to her. "Humph. How would you know if you don't try? Maybe this fruit core thinks my place is good. Besides, I'm just digging a pit and watering it. It doesn't add anything. If it really grows out, that would be even better." Yun Chujio said indifferently. Yun Chujio and Anfeng chatted casually. Di Biming was so angry that he gritted his teeth. After Di Biming chased Yun Chujio out, he was inexplicably annoyed. There was no way for him to cultivate. Now, seeing Yun Chujio and Anfeng chatting and laughing, he was so angry that he wanted to hit his head against the wall. "Anfeng. Are you very free?" Di Biming pushed the door open and stared at Anfeng gloomily. Anfeng shivered and instantly understood that he was in trouble. He quickly said, "Your Excellency, I remember now. I still have many things to do. I'll take my leave." Anfeng quickly disappeared from Di Biming and Yun Chujio's sight. What a joke. If he did not leave now, His Excellency would definitely throw him to the 1,000 feet deep abyss. Di Biming walked to the place where Yun Chujio drew the villain. "Black thing, who are you drawing?" It's you, it's you, it's you." However, Yun Chujio only dared to think that in her heart, but she said, "It's the manager of our kitchen. He's the worst. He'll seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Sooner or later, I'll teach him a good lesson." Di Biming felt that there was something wrong with Yun Chujio's words. He felt like she was pointing at a mulberry tree and cursing a locust tree. He stared at Yun Chujio without blinking. Yun Chujio was a little scared by his stare and she cursed in her heart. Why was he staring at me like a dead fish? Di Biming snorted, "Black thing, if I find out that you lied to me, I will not forgive you. Prince Charming, I will not lie to you. If one lies, one will be struck by lightning." The villain in Yun Chujio's heart was flipping her middle finger. "Gigolo, I lied to you. You're the one who started it." With a crack, a purple lightning bolt fell from the sky and struck Yun Chujio. Chapter 151, The small flame was suppressed once again. Yun Chujio was completely dumbfounded. She just said it casually. Why did this damn little mudfish match her with such an apt punishment? This damn little purple mudfish did not come earlier or later, but it just had to strike her at this time, so it must be on purpose. It was really detestable. This purple lightning bolt was only as thick as a pinky finger, so Yun Chujio absorbed it without any pressure, then laughed dryly at Beiming. Coincidence. This is completely a coincidence. Beiming snorted and glared at Yun Chujio. Then, he turned around and entered the house. Yun Chujio pointed her middle finger at the small piece of dark cloud in the sky. Little mudfish, you want to fight with me? If you have the ability, then continue to attack me. The dark cloud rumbled. Yun Chujio thought that it would continue to strike her. She did not expect the dark cloud to disappear in a flash. Yun Chujio pouted. So you're a coward. You have no courage at all, and you are far inferior to me. A person must have courage and courage to live. Black thing, get in here. Yep, coming. Well, there was a time, place, and situation to show valor and courage. Yun Chujio sneaked into the house and saw Beiming sitting on a chair, with a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone on the table. Yun Chujio immediately had a bad feeling. Come here. I have nothing to do. From today on, I'll teach you calligraphy. I'll make you lose your temper. Beiming thought of Yun Chujio's dog-like handwriting and came up with this idea. Yun Chujio grinned. Prince Charming, I don't want this, alright? I've been working the whole day and I'm exhausted. I can't even lift my arms. How will I have the strength to practice calligraphy? Beiming sneered, then picked up the brush and wrote 3 words. This is my name. Don't sleep until you finish writing it 30 times. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. Humph. Since she was asked to write it, then she would just write it absent-mindedly. If you don't write it seriously, then double it. If you don't, then continue to double it. Beiming saw through Yun Chujio's thoughts at a glance and said coldly. Yun Chujio had no choice but to start writing with a bitter face. As she wrote, she muttered, there are so many names out there, but he has to have the main character. It's so hard to write that character. My name is better. It's simple and easy to remember. What do you know? There's a fish in the northern sea, its name is Kuan. My name has an illusion. Humph. What kind of stupid illusion is that? Doesn't it mean fish? Might as well call yourself Emperor Northern Fish. Black thing. Shut up. I'll shut up then. No wonder he kept staring at her with dead fish eyes. It turned out he was a stinky fish. After writing for almost 4 hours, Yun Chujio felt that her wrist was about to break. Beiming snorted. Let's call it a day. Well, continue tomorrow night. Yun Chujio angrily began to wash up. Then, she took off her coat and lay down in the middle of the bed. Her hands and feet were spread open. It was obvious that she did not want Beiming to sleep on the bed. After Beiming washed up, he saw Yun Chujio occupying the entire bed. He could not help but frown. Move deeper in the bed. This is my bed. Yun Chujio's little flame of resistance burned again. Beiming snorted. Black thing, I'll count to 3. If you don't move, I'll let you sleep on the floor tonight. 1. 2. 3. Prince Charming, I'm afraid of this bed. Now that it's warm, come up. Yun Chujio obediently rolled to the side of the bed. The little flame was once again mercilessly suppressed. Chapter 152, What's Mine is Yours. Yunchujia's heart was filled with tears. As expected, whoever played the strongest fist would have their way. Gigolo, just you wait. When I become stronger, I'll sleep on the bed and let you kneel on the ground and sing me a lullaby. Di Biming's lips curled up. He took off his coat and lay on the outer corner of the bed. Yunchujia's eyes rolled around and she had another idea. Prince Charming, as the saying goes, men and women should not be intimate. It's not good for us to sleep on the same bed, right? Well, what you said makes sense. In that case, you can sleep on the ground. Ah, ha ha ha, I'm joking. I'm still young, so I can't be considered a woman. There's no need to avoid suspicion. Di Biming raised his eyebrows. Have you forgotten? There's another saying that men and women have different seats at the age of 7. So for your reputation, you'd better sleep on the ground. Why do I need to sleep on the ground, and not you? Yunchujio shouted very loudly in the first half of her sentence. The second half of her sentence became quieter and quieter under Di Biming's gaze, like the chirping of a mosquito. Di Biming retracted his gaze and said lightly, because it's your reputation that's bad, not mine. Humph. This is my bed. Yunchujio deliberately emphasized the word my. Oh. Since you want to be calculative, then return the ring that I gave you to me. As well as the cultivation technique, the spirit fruit, the food, and, Prince Charming, I'm just joking. Isn't mine yours? It's getting late, let's go to bed early. Ah, I'm so sleepy, I'm falling asleep. Yunchujio closed her eyes and covered her head with the quilt, pretending to snore. Di Biming watched Yunchujio shrink into the quilt like a little quail and could not help but laugh. He waved his hand and extinguished the candle. Yunchujio saw that Di Biming had stopped talking, so she secretly stuck her head out. Damn, that was close. If she were to lose a storage ring because of a bed, it would be a huge loss. If they slept together, so be it. It was not like they had never slept together before. Although the gigolo was despicable, he did not look like a pervert. Moreover, she looked so dry. He probably would not be able to bring himself to bite her. After Yunchujio comforted herself, she fell asleep very quickly. On the other hand, Di Biming could not fall asleep no matter how hard he tried. Hence, he turned his body to look at Yunchujia's sweet sleeping face in a daze. Huh. The black thing seemed to be much fairer than when he first saw it. Actually, the black thing was not that ugly. Her facial features were quite exquisite. If she was fairer, it would still be acceptable. Di Biming looked at it and could not help but reach out to touch Yunchujia's face. It was quite smooth. Yunchujio felt something on her face in her sleep. She lifted her arm and pushed it. Then, she turned around and fell asleep. Di Biming's face turned hot and he retracted his hand. Humph. Black thing, do you think that this venerable self is willing to touch you? I'm just curious. Yes, just curious. Di Biming turned around and faced Yunchujia's back. He thought about it for a while before falling asleep. However, when they fell asleep, both of them turned around at the same time. Yunchujia's head was in Di Biming's arms and she slept soundly. The next morning, Yunchujio opened her eyes again under Elder Huang's loud voice. Yunchujio carefully moved Di Biming's hand away from her waist. She stretched and got off the bed. After washing up, she hopped off to work. After Yunchujio left, Di Biming suddenly sat up. Why would I dream of that black thing? And dream about? How is this possible? It must be because my true self had been injured recently and was not at ease. Yes, that must be the case. Chapter 153, Wicked Thief. Yunchujio did not know of Di Biming's dilemma. He was thinking about little Jill. Now that she had a storage ring, she would definitely plunder more good things and put them in the ring. Thus, the big kitchen suffered. That's strange. I just steamed 20 baskets of dumplings. Why are there 2 baskets missing? Why are there 3 pots missing from the steamed dumplings? There were 20 pots of stewed beef, why are there only 16 pots left? Yun Chujio saw that things seemed to be getting out of hand, so she finally stopped. She followed the crowd and scolded the wicked thief for stealing the food. Elder Huang searched for a long time but still could not find the reason, so he could only let it go. Perhaps everyone remembered it wrongly. Yun Chujio, go and send this storage bag to the alchemy room. Inside is the food senior brother Zhang Ji asked for. You must hand it to him personally. Manager Ding handed a storage bag to Yun Chujio. Bei Yuan happened to be at the side, so he said when he saw this, Manager Ding, little Jiu doesn't have the spiritual power so she walks too slow. It's better for me to go. Manager Ding's face darkened. Bei Yuan, why can't I even order a new handyman to do some tasks? Besides, senior brother Zhang Ji isn't in a hurry. As long as it arrives today, it's fine. Yun Chujio quickly said, it's fine. I'll go. I haven't been to the alchemy room yet, so I'll just take it as getting to know the area. Bei Yuan had no choice but to call Yun Chujio to the side and whispered, the alchemy room is different from other places. Even the elders aren't willing to offend the people there. You must be careful. Yun Chujio nodded and left the big kitchen. Manager Ding looked at Yun Chujio's back and a trace of sternness flashed through his eyes. Stinky girl, you're dead meat this time. Yun Chujio was clever. She naturally guessed that Manager Ding had bad intentions. However, there was no reason to take precautions. She wanted to see what kind of great gift he had prepared for her. Yun Chujio thought about it and did not let Little Black follow her. If they accused Little Black of stealing the pills, she would not be able to justify it. Yun Chujio held her storage bag and hopped to the alchemy room. Pills were extremely important to a sect, so the alchemy room was located near the top of Middle Peak. The spiritual energy there was very rich, and it was also beneficial to the alchemist's cultivation. Along the way, she met many disciples. As most of them had been to the cafeteria, Yun Chujio greeted them as if they were friends. Ah, senior brother, you're even more handsome than a few days ago. Senior sister, I almost didn't recognize you after not seeing you for a few days. You've become more beautiful again. Senior sister, this acupink dress you're wearing really suits your skin color. You're like a fairy. Everyone liked to hear good things. When they saw how well Yun Chujio spoke, they naturally replied as well. Yun Chujio said that she had been sent by Manager Ding to the pill refining room to deliver something to senior brother Zhang Ji. Yun Chujio noticed that there were a few people who heard her and their eyes flickered. When Yun Chujio saw this, she became curious and intentionally or otherwise, started conversing even more. Little girl, let me tell you. I accidentally found out that senior brother Zhang Ji is related to Lu Qingzhen, who was expelled from the sect a few days ago. Yeah, I also heard that senior brother Zhang Ji is Lu Qingzhen's cousin. You should be careful. Senior brother Zhang Ji is highly regarded by Elder Qi of the pill refining room. He is about to be accepted as a personal disciple. He is currently in the limelight. You must not offend him. After Yun Chujio thanked everyone, she was on her way up the mountain again. She would not offend anyone if they did not offend her. It was fine if Zhang Ji did not offend her. However, if he was up to no good, regardless of whether he was a personal disciple or not, she had to get rid of him. Chapter 154, Strange Thoughts. After walking for more than 2 hours, Yun Chujio finally saw the pill refining room. Before she even got close to the pill refining room, two servants shouted, "Stop! This is an important place for pill refining. No one is allowed to enter." Yun Chujo said with a smile, "Thank you for your hard work, senior brothers." From the big kitchen. Manager Ding of the Ding army asked me to deliver food to senior brother Zhangji. One of the servants looked at Yun Chujo and said, "Are you Yun Chujo? You look exactly like the rumors. Go in and come back quickly." Yun Chujo thanked him and asked about the alchemy room where Zhangji was. Then, she headed to the alchemy room. As soon as she entered the alchemy room, she smelled the rich aroma of pills. Yun Chujo had always had a different way of thinking. The first thought that flashed through her mind at that moment was that the smell was similar to the taste of toffee. It was caramelized and fragrant. It had been a long time since she had eaten sugar. Yun Chujo came to the number 7 alchemy room where Zhangji was. She said respectfully at the door, "Senior brother Zhang, I'm from the big kitchen. Manager Ding asked me to bring you some food. Come in." A man's voice came from inside. Yun Chujo pushed the door open and a wave of hot air mixed with the medicinal aroma assaulted her face. A man was refining pills with his back facing her. Yun Chujo watched the man's movements with curiosity. The man kept forming seals and adding medicinal herbs into the furnace. The medicinal fragrance in the furnace became stronger and stronger. Finally, the man stopped and took out 6 pills from the furnace and placed them on a jade plate to cool down. Yun Chujo looked at the 6 pills on the jade plate and suddenly had the thought of swallowing all the pills into her stomach. The thought was so strong that Yun Chujo was in a daze. The man turned around and looked at Yun Chujo. "Did Manager Ding send you here?" The man saw that Yun Chujo was stunned and did not reply. A trace of pride flashed in his eyes, and he raised his voice and asked again. Yun Chujo finally came to her senses. She nodded and handed the storage bag forward. "Senior brother Zhang, Manager Ding asked me to give this to you." Zhang Ji took the storage bag and opened it to take a look. He then turned around to search on the shelf. He then took out a white porcelain bottle and handed it to Yun Chujo. "Bring this back to Manager Ding." Yun Chujo nodded in agreement and turned around to leave. She then obediently closed the door and left the alchemy room. Zhang Ji could not help but sneer. Qingzhen was really a good-for-nothing. He had actually allowed such a dark girl to enter Spirit Radiance sect. However, that dark girl had already inhaled the intoxication for 3 days. In less than 3 days, she would definitely die silently in her sleep. If an unimportant handyman died, then so be it. No one would pay attention to it. He could be considered to have avenged Qingzhen. As for the other 6, there were plenty of opportunities to take care of them. Why was one of the spirit-gathering pills that he had just refined missing? The black girl had stolen it. No way. She did not have any spiritual power, so it was impossible for her to do anything right under his nose. Perhaps he had remembered wrongly. He refined 5 pills just now. Yun Chujo walked out of the pill refining room, feeling a little puzzled. Strange. Zhang Ji did not make things difficult for her, nor did he frame her. However, that Zhang Ji's eyes were clearly filled with hatred for her, and there was even a hint of complacency. Could he have done something? An alchemist? Could it be that he had poisoned her? Yun Chujo recalled the fragrance she smelled when she pushed the door open. She thought to herself, "Oh no. I must have been tricked. What should I do?" Yun Chujo recalled the pill that she had accidentally stolen in the pill room. At that time, she did not know why she wanted to swallow those pills so badly. If not for her strong will, she might have swallowed those pills on the spot. Chapter 155, A Blessing in Disguise. As Yun Chujo thought of this, she turned to a small path nearby and took out the pill that she had stolen from her storage ring. Just as she was about to take a closer look, a huge suction force suddenly came from her mouth. The pill entered Yun Chujia's stomach with a whoosh. Yun Chujio was shocked. She coughed and used her fingers to pick at it. She even tried to stand on her head. Unfortunately, it was useless. The pill disappeared mysteriously. Yun Chujio wanted to cry, but she had no tears. Not only was she poisoned, but she also had a strange disease. She did not know what kind of pill she swallowed. If it was poison, she would definitely be finished. Yun Chujio went back to the kitchen with her head dropped. She handed the porcelain bottle to Manager Ding. Then, she pretended to be sick with Elder Huang and went back to the dormitory with a sad face. Di Baiming saw that Yun Chujio had returned and asked in puzzlement, "Why are you back?" Yun Chujio was not in the mood to please him at the moment. She said in a muffled voice, "This is my house. If I want to come back, I will come back." Di Baiming was about to lose his temper, but he saw Yun Chujio's small shoulders twitching. It was obvious that she was crying. He could not help but feel a little flustered. "I'm just asking you. I didn't say anything. Why are you crying?" When Yun Chujio heard Di Baiming's question, she immediately had a way to vent her emotions. She could not help but start to wail loudly, sob, "I'm going to die. I still have many wishes that haven't been fulfilled. I'm going to die. I'm so miserable." Sob. Di Baiming was shocked. When he saw Yun Chujio crying her eyes out, it was obvious that she was really sad. "Black thing, what's going on? I'm here. You won't die." Sob. "I was poisoned and have strange disease. If I die, you can keep my blood and drink it in the future. You can keep it in a big pot or something." "Nonsense. Who poisoned you? They're simply courting death." Di Baiming's eyebrows stood up. "I can't even bear to kill the black thing. Who is the one courting death?" Yun Chujio used Di Baiming's clothes to wipe away her tears and snot. She sobbed as she told him about the incident. Di Baiming had long forgotten about the misophobia. He hurriedly grabbed Yun Chujio's right wrist and stretched it out, then frowned. 3 days of drunkenness? What kind of poison is 3 days of drunkenness? Why does it sound like a wine name? And it's the kind of good old wine. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. 3 days of drunkenness is a kind of deadly poison. The person who inhales it will die silently in his sleep within 3 days. Di Baiming almost fainted from anger. It was already so late and she was still thinking about eating and drinking. What? Then I only have 3 days to live. It must be that Zhang Ji who poisoned me. Damn it. I'll go and find him now. If he doesn't give me the antidote, I'll use lightning to strike him. Yun Chujio was also frightened just now. Now that she had recovered from her shock, she immediately regained her domineering aura. Wait. Di Baiming pressed on Yun Chujio's wrist with a shocked expression. It was obvious that he had suffered a huge impact. Isn't it 3 days of drunkenness? Is it 1 day of drunkenness? Am I going to choke on my farts today? Then hurry up and let go of me. I have to find that bastard to get the antidote. Yun Chujio was anxious. This girl cherished her life the most and hated Zhang Ji the most. Yes, your situation is a little special. Di Baiming felt that Yun Chujio was a freak. Why were all the things that happened to her so unbelievable? How is it special? Although you were intoxicated for 3 days, the intoxication of these 3 days disappeared quickly for some reason. It even turned into the power of lightning strangely. Di Baiming felt that he was talking nonsense, however, this was something that really happened in Yun Chujio's body. Chapter 156, B is all the grass fault, what? You mean to say that the so-called 3-day intoxication not only didn't kill me, but it's good for me? Yun Chujia's eyes widened, obviously unable to accept it. From your pulse, it seems so. Look inside your dantian. Yun Chujio immediately sat cross-legged on the bed and began to look inwardly. Then, she cried. The little grass in her dantian was holding a medicinal pill with 2 leaves and munching on it. Damn it! Whose dantian could grow grass? Who had ever seen grass with a mouth? Sun sob. It was her. It was her. That grass might have noticed Yun Chujia's peeping and even shook itself proudly. Yun Chujio also noticed that there were threads of black gas in her meridians that were rapidly gathering toward her dantian before finally being eaten by the grass. As for the power of lightning, it was slowly released by the grass. It was as if the amount of black gas and medicinal pills that were eaten would release the corresponding power of lightning. What the hell was this thing? Yun Chujio felt a wave of dizziness. She had no choice but to withdraw her spiritual sense. Then, she sat on the bed in a daze. How is it? Did you see it? What happened? Di Biming asked anxiously. There's grass growing in my dantian. Wait, what did you say? You said there's grass growing in your dantian. Di Biming felt that there was something wrong with his ears. Yun Chujio nodded and said with a sad face, that damn grass used to swallow lightning and now it's swallowing pills. Yun Chujio told Di Biming everything. She did not know why she did not hide anything from Di Biming. Di Biming was stunned. There was grass growing in her dantian. That grass could swallow lightning. It could swallow pills. It could absorb poison. It could even release the power of lightning. This was unheard of, it was too unbelievable. Yun Chujio saw that Di Biming did not speak, so she panicked. Am I really in a hopeless situation? Am I going to become the grass nourishment? I never thought that I, Yun Chujio, would die at the hands of grass. I can't die in peace. Di Biming frowned, he paced back and forth in the room. Black thing, you don't have to worry too much. Even if that grass is harmful to you, it won't do anything to you for the time being. It should treat you as a host and won't do anything to you until it's fully grown. There must be a way to get rid of it. Yun Chujio pouted. Well, it is what it is. However, even if I can't deal with that grass, I can still deal with that Zhangji. I won't forgive him. He actually wants to poison me, so we'll have to kill him sooner or later. Di Biming's eyes deepened and he did not speak. The next morning, there was an explosion at Spirit Radiance sect. Did you hear? Zhangji from the alchemy room had his tendons and hamstrings cut off by someone. Not only that, I heard that his tongue was also cut off. I also heard that his cultivation was crippled. This is worse than death. Who did this? This person's cultivation must be very high. I heard that Elder Qi was so angry that he will do an extremely thorough investigation. This person is simply too audacious. Could it be a spy from another sect? It doesn't make sense. What's the purpose of a spy doing this? Zhangji is just an inner sect disciple. Then it should be a vendetta. Who would have such a huge grudge against Zhangji? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Could it be that this was done by a gigolo? Chapter 157, I love you to death. Zhangji's tongue had been cut off so he could not speak, and his tendons, and he was unable to write since his tendons were cut off. Therefore, Elder Qi had no choice but to call the relevant people over to interrogate them. Naturally, Yun Chujio was also called over. Yun Chujio had always been good at acting. She swaggered over, and when she was questioned, her answers were naturally airtight. Elder Qi felt that a little girl without spiritual power was indeed unable to do such a thing. After asking a few questions, he let Yun Chujio go back. After finishing the work at night, Yun Chujio went back to the courtyard. Prince Charming, you were the one who helped me clean up that Zhangji, right? Yun Chujio asked Di Baiming with her starry eyes. Di Baiming was very proud in his heart, but he pretended to not care. I just don't like him, it has nothing to do with you. Prince Charming, I know you're venting your anger for me. You're such a good person. I love you so much. Yun Chujio was so excited that she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Di Baiming on the cheek. Di Baiming's entire body seemed to be frozen. There was a loud bang in his head, like fireworks blooming in the sky. The soft touch seemed to be transmitted to his heart. Yun Chujio jumped for a while and frowned. Prince Charming, that elder Qi is currently investigating this. He won't pin it on me, right? Di Baiming finally came back to his senses and raised his eyebrows. Clearly, he felt that Yun Chujio's question was a little unnecessary. Yun Chujio had gotten her revenge, so she naturally would not bother Di Baiming about this. Her words of flattery kept jumping out. Di Baiming enjoyed it very much. When he was in a good mood, he took out some spirit fruits and pastries from his storage ring and gave them to Yun Chujio. When Yun Chujio saw the delicious food, she became even more obsequious. She almost wagged her tail. Di Baiming felt extremely refreshed and sweet. This feeling was even more wonderful than when his spiritual power had risen a level. I heard from the black thing that there was a manager ding in the kitchen. Maybe an Een should also take care of him. Di Baiming thought of this and asked Yun Chujio, Black thing, do you need me to help you take care of that manager ding? Yun Chujio thought for a moment, no, I'll do it myself. It'll be fun. Di Baiming also felt that manager ding was too weak. It was good to let her practice. The next day, when Yun Chujio went to work, she noticed that manager Ding was looking at her with a probing gaze. When Yun Chujio looked over, he avoided her gaze. Yun Chujio jumped in front of him. Manager Ding, why are you always looking at me? Do you still want me to deliver something for you? Manager Ding did not know why, but he felt that Yun Chujio was implying something. He waved his hand awkwardly. No need. You do what you need to do. Oh, if you need anything, just let me know. I'm happy to run errands for you. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Seeing this, Manager Ding felt even more nervous. He gave a few perfunctory words and hurried out. The more Manager Ding thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. However, on second thought, Yun Chujio did not have any spiritual power at all. How could she be the one who did it? He must have been thinking too much. This damn brat, she must be kicking him while he was down. Humph. You don't have to be so smug. There's only one more day before the effects of the 3-day intoxication kick in. Your time to die is up. However, after a few days, Yun Chujio was still alive and kicking. There were no symptoms of poisoning at all. Could it be that Zhang Ji failed to poison her back then? Yes, that must be the case. Yun Chujio could not have gotten the antidote for the 3-day intoxication. Even so, Manager Ding still felt a little uneasy. He felt that things would not be so simple. Chapter 158, I'm sick. Manager Ding was suspicious and restrained his actions. He did not look for Yun Chujio and the others. Yun Chujio was not in a hurry to make a move and was prepared to find a suitable time to strike. That night, Yun Chujio had just returned to the dormitory when Di Baiming said to her, Black thing, I need to go back. First, I need to take care of some things. Then, I need to find someone to ask about the condition of the grass in your body. After Di Baiming finished speaking, he looked at Yun Chujio with anticipation. He did not expect Yun Chujio to indifferently reply, Okay, go. Go. I'm exhausted. I need to lie down for a while. His poor Excellency had played the scene several times. For example, she was reluctant to part with him, or she was crying and hugging him and was reluctant to let him go, or yes, Black Thing gave him a kiss. In an instant, the beautiful scenes popped. Di Biming could only sigh in his heart, it was so stifling that he could not breathe. Di Biming was furious. He smashed the new table with one palm and the things on it shattered all over the floor. A stack of rice paper written by Yun Chujio turned into paper scraps. Yun Chujio was shocked. What are you doing? Di Biming looked at Yun Chujio and gritted his teeth. I'm sick. What? Yun Chujio was dumbfounded. Did this gigolo take the wrong medicine? Di Biming saw that Yun Chujio was still in a daze and did not react. He was so angry that he flung his sleeves and left just like that. This Black Thing was really heartless. She did not even have the slightest intention of missing him. An could feel that the temperature in the surroundings had dropped by a few degrees. He sighed in his heart. It was over. The days that followed would be filled with suffering. He did not know how Miss Chiu had offended His Excellency that he became so angry. On the other hand, Yun Chujio was calm and collected. She shrugged her shoulders. This gigolo had not had a crazy fit for a long time. It seemed that it was that time of the month again. Yun Chujio rolled a few times on the bed. It was great that the gigolo had left. She could finally monopolize the bed. However, Yun Chujio could not fall asleep even after tossing and turning until midnight. She mumbled, "That's weird. Why isn't anyone fighting with me for territory? I'm not used to it. 1 gigolo, 2 gigolos, 3 gigolos." The next day, Yun Chujio went to the kitchen with 2 big dark circles under her eyes. "Little Chiu, didn't sleep well yesterday? Are you feeling unwell?" Yun Chu asked with concern when she saw Yun Chujio looking listless. Yun Chujio giggled. "No, I just had too much fun with Little Black, that's why I slept late." Little Black stared at her with its possessed eyes with grievance on its face. This young master would not admit it. Yun Chu asked a few more questions. Seeing that there was nothing unusual, she went to work. After breakfast, Elder Huang called Yun Chujio and the others over. "Today is the day of the elders' lecture. The 7 of you should go with Ho Tian." Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. "Elder Huang, let the other senior brothers go. We've just arrived. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future." Elder Huang smiled and said, "You little girl, you really know how to cause trouble. You guys go ahead. Next time, let someone else go." Seeing that Elder Huang had instructed so, Yun Chujio did not refuse. She followed Ho Tian and Yun Chuzi and rushed to Zhang Peak's lecture square. 2 hours later, the few of them arrived at the lecture square. Zhang Peak's lecture square was the same square that Yun Chujio and the others had been teleported to after passing the test. At that time, there were already many people gathered. Some were sitting on the ground while others were chatting softly. There was a particular order to the seating. The inner disciples sat at the front followed by the outer disciples. The odd job workers could only sit at the back. Yun Chujio and the others found a corner and sat down. Chapter 159, How Sleepy Was She? Yun Chujio was afraid that others would suspect her, so she did not dare to use the hair growth pill. Hence, her hair was only an inch long and was particularly eye-catching in the crowd. Yun Chujio was quite famous in the Spirit Radiance sect as of then. When they saw her going over, many people's gazes gathered over. Yun Chujio did not mind, and she even nodded at everyone with a smile. The crowd had obviously never seen such a friendly and thick-skinned person. It was hard for them to ridicule her. It's so uncomfortable to hold it in, isn't it? At that moment, a female disciple exclaimed in a low voice, Senior Brother Feng Ming is here. Ah, it's really Senior Brother Feng Ming. He's walking toward us. Quick, check if my hairpin is crooked. Darn it, if I had known that Senior Brother Feng Ming would come back, I would have worn that pink brocade shirt. Feng Ming turned a blind eye to those fiery gazes. He walked toward Yun Chuzhou and waved his hand elegantly. Junior sister little Jiu. Let's go, it'll bring you to sit in the front. You can hear better from the front. Yun Chuzhou was never a person who was afraid of trouble. She immediately jumped up and followed Feng Ming to the front. As a result, she received a basket of eyes filled with jealousy and envy. There were no hard and fast rules regarding the seating order. It was just a convention. Therefore, when Yun Chuzhou sat down, no one came to chase her away or anything like that. The inner sect disciples thought highly of themselves. When they saw Yun Chuzhou walking over, they all had disdainful looks. Especially the few female disciples whose gazes were even more unfriendly. Yun Chuzhou secretly cursed in her heart. She did not expect senior brother so-called bird to have such good luck in love. Humph. How thick-skinned. A servant actually came to our inner sect disciples area. That's right. She's also a trash without spiritual power. What can she understand? Today, the one giving us the lecture is Elder Qi from Middle Peak. I heard that he's been in a very bad mood recently. Moreover, he loves to ask questions during the lecture. If he calls on Yun Chuzhou, tell me. When Feng Ming heard this, he was shocked. He did not know that it was Elder Qi's lecture that day. Elder Qi did have a habit of picking disciples to answer questions during the lecture. If he could not answer, he would be reprimanded. Junior sister little Jiu, why don't you go to the back? That Elder Qi is very serious. Feng Ming said in a low voice. Yun Chuzhou waved her hand carelessly and said to Feng Ming in a low voice, I've seen Elder Qi before. Other than not having good taste, everything else is fine. You don't have to worry. I'll just sit here. It's fine. Not having good taste. Where did that come from? Feng Ming shook his head. Seeing that Yun Chuzhou was determined to do so, he did not say anything else. Actually, Yun Chuzhou had discovered something interesting and was reluctant to go back. After a while, Elder Qi walked to the front with a gloomy face and sat down on the ground. Elder Qi's mood had been very bad the past few days. He had originally planned to take Zhang Ji as his personal disciple, but who would have thought that a person who was fine the day before would become a cripple overnight? What was even more depressing was that after a few days, there were no clues about the murderer at all. What was even more depressing was that he even found poisons and a few letters in Zhang Ji's storage bag. They were all indicating sinister deeds. Elder Qi's mood was very complicated. He was angry, disappointed, and a trace relieved. If it was not for Zhang Ji's accident, he would really have accepted such a heartless student who would just cause endless trouble in the future. That day, Elder Qi was explaining the 100 volumes of medicinal herbs, which was the basic knowledge of medicinal herbs. After a while, Elder Qi swept his gaze over the crows. Most of the people were listening seriously. Only the tan lass sitting in the front row had her face almost pressed against the stone slab. How sleepy was she? Chapter 160, How did you do it? Elder Qi frowned. He still had some impression of Yun Chuzhou. Wasn't this the tan girl who was called in for questioning a few days ago? You. Answer the difference between the purple wisdom grass and the purple hawk grass. Elder Qi pointed at Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou did not move at all. She sat there, watching attentively. Feng Ming poked Yun Chuzhou, and Yun Chuzhou was shocked. Just as she was about to ask Feng Ming what was wrong, Elder Qi got angry. Stand up. Are you here to listen to my lecture or to sleep? Yun Chujiu stood up and answered obediently, I'm here to listen to your lecture. Elder Qi became even angrier when he heard that. Since you're here to listen to my lecture, why is your head down? Yun Chujiu was at a loss. Can't you keep your head down while listening to the lecture? Does one have to stare at you while listening to the lecture? This was the first time Elder Qi had met a student who dared to talk back to him. He was already holding his anger in his heart, but this time, he exploded. You. Good. Then tell me what's the difference between purple wisdom grass and purple hawk grass. The people below began to discuss quietly. It's over. Yun Chujiu has completely offended Elder Qi. That's right, she actually dared to go against Elder Qi. How audacious. I told you that Yun Chujiu would do this to herself. Why did she sit in the front row for no reason? She's asking for it. Damn it. Let her be smug. Does she think that senior brother Feng Ming likes her? Senior brother Feng Ming must be trying to put her in her place. Yun Chuzi and the others were extremely worried. They stretched their necks and looked forward. Yun Chujiu definitely could not answer. They hoped that Elder Qi would not punish Yun Chujiu too harshly. Elder Qi saw that Yun Chujiu did not speak and said coldly, You can't answer me, right? Young people make mistakes but don't like to admit it. If you're doing this, although there's only one word difference between the purple wisdom grass and the purple hawk grass, the purple wisdom grass is in the middle grade of the black category, while the purple hawk grass is of a low grade from the yellow category. The difference between the two is very small. The purple wisdom grass has a thin red thread on the leaf veins, but the purple hawk grass does not. Elder Qi, am I right? Yun Chujiu tilted her head and looked at Elder Qi mischievously. Elder Qi choked back his words and his face turned red. You must have previously known the difference between the two. I'll test you again. Yun Chujiu blinked her eyes. As long as it's the content that you've talked about today. I didn't have the chance to learn the knowledge of herbs before. Of course, I'm asking about the content I taught you today. Tell me about the growth habits of the seven-leaf reed. Elder Qi thought that the seven-leaf reed was an uncommon spiritual herb, so he did not believe that this little girl had heard of it before. The seven-leaf reed mostly grows on the shores of hot springs that are rich in spiritual energy. The stalks stand upright and are more than 5 feet tall. The roots, stems, and leaves have ventilation tissue, which has the effect of stopping bleeding and detoxifying poison. Elder Qi, am I correct? Yun Chujiu said with a smile. Elder Qi clenched his teeth in anger. Sit down. Some disciples shouldn't be complacent just because they know something. If their attitude in class isn't right, they should not attend my classes in the future. Yun Chujiu acted as if she did not hear him. After sitting down, she still lowered her head and looked at a green stone slab as if there were flowers on it. Elder Qi was so angry that his beard curled up. However, he did not have any other good ideas. He could only ask Yun Chujiu to get up and answer questions every once in a while. However, Yun Chujiu could answer them quickly and accurately each time. 4 hours later, Elder Qi glared at Yun Chujiu and left in a huff. Junior sister Little Jiu, you're simply too awesome. How did you do it? Feng Ming asked curiously. Chapter 161, Had a Big Secret. Yun Chujiu was staring at the green stone slab in a daze. She said carelessly, didn't he already said it once? I'm just repeating it. Feng Ming was stunned at first, then he cried out in surprise, what? What did you say? Everyone's eyes were focused on Feng Ming. He instantly returned to his usual cold and aloof state, as if the scream just now was an illusion. At that time, Yun Chuzi and the others walked over and beckoned Yun Chuzhou back to the kitchen. She finally shifted her gaze away from the green stone slab and said to Ho Tian, "Manager Ho, please help me ask for half a day's leave from Elder Huang." Feng Ming also chimed in, "Yes, just say that I have a favor to ask of ninth junior sister." Ho Tian smiled and agreed, then left with Yun Chuzi and the others. "Junior sister Jiu, you can really remember everything you've heard? Also, what's so great about this broken green stone slab?" Feng Ming was extremely curious. Yun Chuzhou waved her hand at him and ignored him. She continued to focus her attention on the green stone slab. Feng Ming rubbed his nose in boredom and also lowered his head to look at the green stone slab. However, other than a bunch of meaningless patterns, he really could not see anything else. Feng Ming looked at it for a while and felt dizzy. He shook his head and sat at the side to meditate. The onlookers could not help but discuss among themselves when they saw Yun Chuzhou frowning and raising the corners of her mouth at times. Is Yun Chuzhou crazy? What is she doing? I don't know. She has always looked abnormal. How can a girl's hair be that short? A good-for-nothing without spiritual power naturally thinks differently from us. Maybe she thinks those patterns are beautiful. TSK. Those questions just now. How did that good-for-nothing answer all of them correctly? TSK. What's so strange about that? Isn't senior brother Feng Ming sitting next to her? It must be senior brother Feng Ming who helped her. Ah, what you said makes sense. Feng Ming curled his lips. What the hell was he helping? Not only did he not know the answers, even if he did, he would not dare to do anything under Elder Chi's watch. 2 hours passed. 4 hours passed. The number of people in the square decreased, but Yun Chuzhou still had her head down. Although, she had stared at a few different green stone slabs. Another 4 hours passed, and the sky gradually darkened. Yun Chuzhou was completely unaware. She continued to stare at the patterns on the stones under the moonlight. Feng Ming ended his meditation and saw that Yun Chuzhou was still staring at it. He asked worriedly, "Junior sister little Jiu, are you okay?" Yun Chuzhou waved her hand and continued staring as if she was possessed. Seeing this, Feng Ming had no choice but to take out a few buns from his storage bag and pass them to Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou could not resist eating as she stared at the green stone slab while eating the steamed buns. "Junior sister little Jiu, it's getting late. I'll send you back first. If you're interested in the patterns on these, come back tomorrow." Yun Chuzhou finally raised her head and said sincerely to Feng Ming, "Senior brother Feng Ming, do me a favor and help me apply for another day off. I want to study these patterns properly." "Junior sister little Jiu, are these patterns special?" Feng Jiu asked curiously. Although he had not known Yun Chuzhou for very long, he felt that this little girl was always able to do some unexpected things. There should be a big secret behind this. But I've only discovered a little clue. I need time to continue to study it and cannot stop, or else my train of thought will be cut off. Yun Chuzhou knew that she had to get Feng Ming's support, so she explained patiently. Chapter 162, There Are Treasures. A Big Secret. Feng Ming was suddenly energized. He patted his chest and said, "No problem. Leave it to me." "Thank you, senior brother Feng Ming," Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. "Okay. Then I'll go and tell Elder Huang now." Feng Ming turned around and was about to leave. "Wait. Senior brother Feng Ming, you have to stay here and protect me. Write a note and get Little Black to send it." Yun Chuzhou pointed at the little black bird that was struggling to eat the steamed bun. Feng Ming said suspiciously, can it do it? This is just a young fire-breathing crow, right? It hasn't fully developed its intelligence yet. Would it be able to do its task well? Little Black was immediately unhappy. Its bean-like eyes looked at Feng Ming with disdain. Humph. This young master didn't even shun you for using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. You actually dare to doubt me? Isn't it just sending a letter? This young master can send a letter even with my eyes closed, okay? Feng Ming felt as if he was hallucinating. From the eyes of Little Black, he could actually see disdain and ridicule. How could a low-level fire-breathing crow have such a human-like expression? Yun Chuzhou urged Feng Ming to write a note for Elder Huang as she wrote a note for Yun Chuzi before tying it to Little Black's claw. Little Black looked at Feng Ming with disdain, then flapped its short wings and flew away. After a while, the little black bird flapped its short wings and flew back to her. Feng Ming was amused. Junior sister Little Jiu, I told you that this little black bird is unreliable, right? Look, it definitely couldn't find its way back, so it flew back again. Little Black's puzzized eyes revealed a mocking expression as it cried out twice. Yun Chuzhou untied the note from the little black bird's leg. As expected, it was a reply from old Huang and Yun Chuzi. It really did it. And it's so fast. Is it really just a young fire-breathing crow? Feng Ming was in disbelief. Yes, it's a battle crow among fire-breathing crows. Yun Chuzhou said lightly and continued to study the patterns on the stone. Feng Ming and Little Black were dumbfounded. What the hell was a battle crow? Yun Chuzhou did not have the time to bother with these two. She began to study the patterns on the green stone slab. It seemed that there was already a clue. Yun Chujia's speed of observation became faster and faster. Feng Ming's heart was like a cat scratching. What secret was hidden in the green stone slab? This square seemed to have existed for tens of thousands of years and no one had noticed anything unusual. Could junior sister Little Jiu really have discovered something? The successive sect masters and elders had not discovered anything. Could it be that junior sister Little Jiu was even more powerful than them? Was that not too ridiculous? Junior sister Little Jiu did not even have spirit energy. Time passed bit by bit. It was unknown how the news had spread, but Master Xianyuan, the 5 peak masters, and some elders had all arrived at the square. Feng Ming was afraid that they would blame Yun Chuzhou, so he wanted to go forward and remind Yun Chuzhou to come over and greet them. Master Xianyuan waved his hand, indicating that he should not disturb Yun Chuzhou. Feng Ming's heart was in a mess. He did not know why things were getting out of hand. Was Master Xianyuan, the 5 peak masters, and the elders idle because there was nothing to fear for? What are they doing here in the middle of the night? Moreover, Master Xianyuan and the other peak masters were very excited. What was going on? Yun Chuzhou seemed to have been immersed in some mysterious realm, completely unaware of the arrival of the Master Xianyuan and the others. Yun Chuzhou suddenly raised her head to look at the sky, then ran to the side of a green stone slab and shouted excitedly, "Senior brother Feng Ming! Quick! Quick! Pry open this green stone slab, there are treasures underneath." Chapter 163, A Demonic Barrier. Without waiting for Feng Ming to agree, Elder Chu leaped over. Where? Where? What treasure is under there? Let me dig. Only then did Yun Chuzhou realize that Master Xianyuan and the others were there. Yun Chuzhou glared angrily at Feng Ming. Fuck. I've been searching all night and these people actually took advantage of me. I'm so wronged. Feng Ming rubbed his nose and thought to himself, each of these people is more powerful than the last. What would he dare to say? Elder Chu was already excitedly prying open the green stone slabs. These green stone slabs were all polished from 10,000-year-old southern jade, and each of them weighed more than 1,000 caddies. However, this was a piece of cake for Elder Chu. Hold on. The Southern Jade Square is the 10,000-year-old legacy of our Spirit Radiance sect. How can it be damaged just because of a little girl's nonsense? Xiao Pancher had always looked down on Yun Chuzhou. At this moment, his brows were tightly knitted together. Sect leader, Elder Xiao's words are not without reason. Yun Chuzhou is just an insignificant servant without any spiritual power, and she hasn't even entered the sect for a month. She really doesn't have much credibility. That's right. Over the past 10,000 years, our Spirit Radiance sect has produced many talents, but those heaven's favorites didn't discover anything. Could it be that a little girl like her could discover something? This is too ridiculous. That's right. We can't easily pry open this green stone slab. This is disrespectful to the ancestors of the past generations. Everyone was discussing animatedly. Most people felt that Yun Chuzhou was simply fooling around. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. It would be better if they did not believe her. When the time came, she would quietly pry open the green stone slab and the treasures would all belong to her alone. Elder Chu had a temperamental personality. He rolled his eyes and said, "Don't make everything sound so serious. It's not like you won't close it after prying open it. What can you do about it? Besides, what's wrong with this tan girl? She has been staring at the green stone slab for half a night. Who would be able to mess around like that for half a night? Sect Master, what do you think we should do? I don't think the girl is messing around. There must be something down there." Master Xianyuan pondered for a moment before saying, "Let's pry it open. The founders won't blame us. It's time for the secret of 10,000 years to see the light of day again." Elder Chu exerted some force, and the thick and heavy green stone slab was slowly pried open. Two more elders came over and each held one side of the green stone slab. They lifted the green stone slab and gently placed it to the side. Everyone's gaze focused on the dark brown soil. The few elders began to dig, but they had already dug 6 feet deep and they still had no results. Everyone could not help but feel a little discouraged. Elder Xiao and the others who opposed the idea revealed expressions of as expected. This was simply impossible. How could a little girl without spirit energy be more powerful than them? Was that not just a joke? Elder Chu was initially full of confidence, but as the hole was dug deeper and deeper, his heart began to beat faster. Could it be that the black girl was wrong? 6 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. Even when it was 20 feet deep, there was still nothing. An elder curled his lips. "Sect Master, it's better to fill up the soil. There's simply nothing. This is a waste of time. Otherwise, when the sun rises, the disciples will take us as jokes." Master Xianyuan was also a little uncertain. Could it be that there really was nothing? Yun Chuzhou walked to the edge of the pit. She shouted toward the deep pit, "Hey! Hurry up and get out. Otherwise, you can only play dead below. Don't you want to come out and see this colorful world? Don't you want to see all kinds of delicious food? Don't you want to see a magnificent beauty like me?" Everyone's face froze. Was Yun Chuzhou possessed? What was the use of shouting? Were there any living things down there? Chapter 164, Must be an immortal artifact. Junior sister Little Jiu, could it be that the thing below is alive? Feng Ming's eyes lit up as he asked Yun Chuzhou. "I don't know either. However, I feel that even if a rolling pin is buried underground for 10,000 years, it should have gained sentience, right?" Yun Chuzhou said casually. Everyone originally had high hopes, but after hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, they were instantly discouraged. It turned out that she was just spouting nonsense. Nonsense. This is simply nonsense. Do you think that things can just give birth to intelligence? What's more, a rolling pin. Nonsense. I told you, there won't be anything down there. Hurry up and fill up the soil. Although Yun Chujio has only entered the sect for a short period of time, she has caused a lot of trouble. She must be severely punished. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Severely punished her? Fuck. You still dare to say that? Did I drag you here, or did I kidnap you? Don't you know what an uninvited guest is? You are. You really are shameless. Of course, these words were all secretly criticized by Yun Chujio. She did not have the courage to openly seek death. Just as everyone was discussing, the ground of the entire southern Jade Square began to tremble. A faint light could be seen from under the soil. Master Xianyuan was stunned for a moment before he shouted, "Set up the formation." The 5 peak masters were the first to react. They sat down cross-legged in various directions. 6 streaks of spiritual energy shot into the sky and a curtain of light enveloped the entire square. The 6 of them had set up a spirit radiant star formation. It could not only isolate the spiritual energy from leaking out, but it could also isolate the prying eyes of the outside world. Everyone was extremely excited. There really was a rare treasure. A treasure that had existed since 10,000 years ago must be an immortal item. The appearance of such a rare treasure would definitely cause an earth-shattering phenomenon. If others were to target it, it would be too much of a loss. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the brown soil. Yun Chujio's heart was especially excited and conflicted. She was excited because her guess was right, there was indeed a treasure down there. She was conflicted because there were so many hungry wolves guarding there. Even if there was a treasure, she would not be able to reap the benefits. She was so upset, she wanted to vomit blood. The ground was trembling more and more violently. The light emitted from the ground was so bright that people could hardly open their eyes. An immortal item. It must be an immortal item. Everyone was so excited that they were slightly trembling. How great of a blessing it was to be able to see an immortal item appearing in the world. At the moment when the light was at its peak, a streak of black light shot out from underground and flew straight into the sky. Fortunately, Master Xianyuan and the others had already set up the spirit radiant star formation. After that streak of black light crashed into the curtain of light, its speed slowed down for a moment before it struggled to escape. Seeing that the situation was not good, Master Xianyuan hurriedly shouted, "Everyone, quickly lend a hand to the 6 of us." The elders, including Feng Ming, sat behind the 6 of them and transferred their spiritual power into the bodies of Master Xianyuan and the 5 peak masters with their arms. The spirit radiant star formation's curtain of light became more and more solid. After the black ray crashed into it a few times, it still could not escape. It could not help but dive down in a fluster, looking like it was going to kill someone. When the black ray rushed down, it realized that other than the people who set up the array, there was also a tan girl sitting on the green stone slab eating a bun. Beside her, there was an ugly bird pecking at the bun and eating it. It could not help but be a little dumbfounded. Actually, this matter was not bad. Yun Chujio was really heartless as she thought about it that way. The treasure did not belong to her, so why should she get involved? She still had 2 buns left from what Feng Ming had given her, so she ran to the side with Little Black to eat the buns. Chapter 165, This damn thing wants to kill me. The black ray felt that it had received a great insult. This human and this bird are looking down on me. Can't you see those idiots trying their best to trap me? Why are you still in the mood to eat buns? Are you that brave? In a fit of anger, the black ray headed toward Yun Chujio. Yun Chuzhou never expected that the dark ray would come toward her, and from the looks of it, it was going to kill her. Hence, she jumped up and out with a roar. Help! Help! It's trying to kill someone. This damn thing is going to kill me. Hurry up and save me. You were released by me, yet you repay kindness with enmity. You shameless bastard, you actually want to kill me. Am a good for nothing without any spiritual power. Don't you think that it would be unfair to kill me? Yun Chuzhou shouted as she fled across the square. The dark ray chased after her relentlessly and seemed to have found some fun. It could have caught up to her in an instant, but it kept a distance that was neither too far nor too close to play with Yun Chuzhou. Master Xianyuan and the others were worried that Yun Chuzhou would be in trouble, but they were also afraid that the dark ray was luring the tiger away from the mountain. Once they withdrew their hands to save Yun Chuzhou, it would take the opportunity to break out of the spirit radiant star formation. Master Xianyuan frowned. Send 10 people to help Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou, who was running away with her head in her hands, could not help but feel a slight warmth in her heart. Although there were many dregs in the spirit radiance sect, Master Xianyuan was still not bad. When the dark ray saw that another 10 people had come to catch it, it did not care at all. It seemed to be even more excited, so everyone's faces stiffened as they watched the scene in front of them. The 10 elders jumped up and down to capture the ray. While the dark ray dodged, it continued to chase after Yun Chuzhou. After a full hour of commotion, Yun Chuzhou was furious. Fuck! You unspeakable thing! Don't you just want to kill me? Come and kill me! Even if I die, I won't spare you. I'll transform into a fierce ghost to pester you every day. Although Yun Chuzhou said so, all the spiritual power in her body was gathered in her right hand. Once the dark light really made a move, it would take the risk of revealing its secret to strike her. I don't believe that other than me and Little Black, there are still people who aren't afraid of being struck by lightning. The dark light clearly did not expect Yun Chuzhou to suddenly stop running and even dare to threaten it. It hovered in front of Yun Chuzhou, seemingly wavering. At that moment, the 10 elders gathered around. The black ray seemed to be a little restless and the light on its body dimmed a little. No one noticed that a white light that was as thin as a needle separated from the black ray's body and hid between Yun Chuzhou's brows. Yun Chuzhou was prepared to strike the black ray with lightning. Who would have thought that this thing could employ tricks? After the white light disappeared between Yun Chuzhou's brows, the dark ray completely dissipated and fell onto the green stone slab with a thud. It turned out to be a pitch-black short stick that was about 1.5 feet long. Elder Chu was the first to jump over and pick up the stick. Ha! I never thought that I'd be able to see an immortal weapon in this lifetime. No, that's not right. Why doesn't this black stick have any spiritual energy? It looks more like a rolling pin. What's going on? Everyone was shocked and gathered around. Master Xianyuan took the stick from Elder Chu and examined it carefully. He realized that it was just an ordinary stick made of black iron. What was going on? Everyone looked at each other in confusion. This stick was shining brightly before. How did it become a dull mortal artifact? Chapter 166, Yun Chuzhou. Everyone was dumbfounded, and only Yun Chuzhou was feeling proud of herself. She deserved it. I said to take advantage of this easy to obtain and highly rewarding situation. Who knew it was so easy for me? Although they did not know what was hidden between her eyebrows, it was definitely not simple. In the end, they were still doing her a favor. This feeling of everyone losing, me winning alone was too satisfying, okay? Although this fellow was feeling proud in her heart, she had an expression of disbelief on her face. Just now, this stick was still chasing after me. How did it suddenly become a rolling pin? The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. Needless to say, Yun Chujia's words were quite appropriate. This stick was really not much different from a rolling pin. However, everyone felt that something was strange. Just a moment ago, this stick was still awe-inspiring. How did it become a rolling pin in the next moment? Master Xianyuan looked at the sky. After all this trouble, the sun was starting to rise from the east. He frowned and said, "First, stick this stick with a confinement talisman and then put it into the spirit tool pavilion. We'll investigate when we have time." Master Xianyuan paused at this point and looked at Yun Chujio. There was a conflicted expression on his face, as if there were some words that he could not say. Everyone was puzzled. What was wrong with the sect master? Feng Ming was shocked. Could it be that the sect master was going to blame junior sister Little Jiu? Yun Chujia's heart also sank. If the sect master really wanted to punish her, she would say that she was not the one who pried up the green stone slab, and that she was not the one who dug up the soil. What right did he have to punish her? Right. If he wanted to punish her, he would say so. Master Xianyuan pondered for a long time before finally continuing. When the successive leaders of the Spirit Radiance sect passed on the throne, they would pass on a verbal order from the founder of the Spirit Radiance sect, Patriarch Linghua. That is, if any of the Linghua disciples were to discover the secret of the Southern Jade Square, that person would be his successor disciple. After Master Xianyuan finished speaking, there was no reaction from the crowd for a long time. They understood every word that the sect leader said. However, they could not put two and two together. Suddenly, Feng Ming cried out in surprise, "Heavens! Sect leader, do you mean that junior sister Little Jiu is now the personal disciple of our Spirit Radiance sect's founder, Patriarch Linghua?" Master Xianyuan smiled bitterly and nodded. Boom! The elders finally reacted. They could not believe their ears. Elder Chu counted with his fingers. "We are the 10th generation disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect." If the Tan girl is the personal disciple of the founder, then she is the second generation disciple. We can't even be considered as great-great-grandchildren. Sect master, are you kidding me? Xiao Pan's his old face turned red. He could not accept the fact that this Tan girl who did not have any spiritual power had suddenly become an elder with an extremely high seniority. Master Xianyuan smiled bitterly and nodded. For a moment, he also wanted to hide this verbal order, but he decided against it. Patriarch Linghua must have had his reasons for doing so. Yun Chujia's heart was practically bubbling with joy. What did it mean to become rich overnight? What did it mean to have a piece of pie falling from the sky? What did it mean to walk a dog, it defecating and having luck fall into your arms? Ha ha ha. She, Yun Chujio, was finally going to stand out and glorify her ancestors. All of you scums, tremble. This fellow had long since selectively forgotten that it was not her who pried up the stone slab and that it was not her who dug up the soil. The 10th generation sect master of the Spirit Radiance sect, Xianyuan Changkong, greets Master Yun. Master Xianyuan respectfully bowed to Yun Chujio. When the others saw Master Xianyuan did that, although they were not convinced, they did not dare to be negligent. Greeting Master Yun. Cough cough. Yun Chujio coughed dryly. Everyone. Children. Please stand up. Chapter 167, As long as this little ancestor agrees, children. Children. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched, and the blue veins on the foreheads of some of the short-tempered elders bulged. This was simply absurd, too absurd. When they thought about how they would have to bow and greet the Tan girl every time they saw her in the future, the elders were on the verge of breaking down. Sect Master, although this is the verbal instruction of the founding ancestor. This. Everything has to be flexible. Not only is Yun Chuzhou young and inexperienced, the most important thing is that she doesn't have any spirit energy at all. If the other sects were to know that our spirit radiance sect has such an ancestor, they would definitely laugh their heads off. That's right. Even if Yun Chuzhia's spiritual power isn't high, we can use pills and spiritual stones to increase her cultivation level. However, she can't cultivate at all. She's like mud that can't be supported by a wall. Sect leader, if it really doesn't work, we can give Yun Chuzhou some other compensation, such as inner sect disciples and spiritual stones. If there really is such a little ancestor, we won't be able to hold our heads up when we go out. Yun Chuzhou secretly pursed her lips. Did they think she was stupid? No matter how many spirit stones there were, how could they compare to the position of the grand retired emperor of the spirit radiance sect? She was definitely going to be the little ancestor. Little Xianyuan, since everyone is so unconvinced, then let's just forget about it. There's no need to give me any spirit stones as compensation. Let's just pretend that nothing happened. In any case, Master Linghua won't come to your dreams in the middle of the night to scold you, nor will he send down some heavenly punishment to punish unfilial disciples. It's really nothing. Yun Chuzhou said with her small hands behind her back. She did not care. Little Xianyuan. Master Xuanyuan's face stiffened. This title seemed to date back to when he was a child hundreds of years ago. This little girl was really a trickster. It was obvious that she was taking a step back in order to advance. Master Xianyuan was in a difficult position. He could not disobey Master Linghua's verbal order, but most of the elders present had a strong sense of resistance. If he got Yun Chuzhou to take the position of little ancestor, she probably would not be able to convince the public. What should he do? Sect Master, although we can't disobey the verbal orders of Patriarch Linghua, this matter has been going on for 10,000 years. Even the Patriarch wouldn't have thought that the person who would discover the secret 10,000 years later would be a little girl without spiritual power. Why don't we compromise? If Yun Chuzhou can be ranked in the top 10 in the new disciple trial 1 year later, then we'll acknowledge her identity as the little ancestor Yun. If she can't be ranked, then we'll give her a spot as an inner disciple, well let her peacefully spend the rest of her life in our spirit radiance sect. Elder Shao said with a frown. As soon as Elder Shao finished speaking, the elders who held opposing opinions expressed their agreement. Sect Master, Elder Shao's idea isn't bad. We also think that this is a good way to handle it. These elders thought to themselves. Yun Chuzhou, a good-for-nothing without any spirit energy, wanted to be ranked in the top 10. That was simply wishful thinking. This way, they could not only shut her mouth, but also prevent Spirit Radiance sect from becoming a laughingstock. It was truly a very good idea. Master Xianyuan frowned. Getting into the top 10 within a year was clearly just to make things difficult for Yun Chuzhou. It was simply impossible for Yun Chuzhou to achieve. Just as Master Xianyuan was about to say something, Yun Chuzhou spoke. Little Xianyuan, you don't have to make things difficult for me. I will agree to it. When the time comes, this little ancestor will definitely make you completely convinced. However, little Xianyuan, you have to agree to 3 additional conditions. Little ancestor, please speak. Master Xianyuan was truly speechless. This little girl had entered the character too quickly, right? Always thinking of herself as little ancestor. Her skin was extraordinarily thick. Chapter 168, 3 conditions. The first condition is that I can enter and leave the sect's library as I please. The second condition is that the rolling pin belongs to me. The third condition is that you give me a gold medal to exempt me from death. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Everyone thought that Yun Chuzhou would ask for spirit stones or medicinal pills, but they did not expect her to raise such 3 conditions. The first condition was not a big deal, but the second and third conditions were a bit trickier to deal with. Although that black stick looked like an ordinary stick now, how could the thing left behind by Patriarch Linghua just be an ordinary thing? As for the third condition, it was even more ridiculous. If Yun Chuzhou betrayed the sect, then with the so-called get-out-of-jail-free token would come to her aid. Would that not allow one to do whatever they wanted? Master Xianyuan pondered for a moment. Little Ancestor Yun, I can agree to these 3 conditions, but I also have 3 conditions. Little Xianyuan, speak. Yun Chuzhou said nonchalantly, but inwardly, she cursed at the old fox. First, before your identity is officially confirmed, I hope that little Ancestor Yun will not reveal anything to anyone. Of course, no one here will leak this matter and everything will be the same as before. Little Ancestor Yun is still a servant of our Spirit Radiance sect. Master Xuanyuan's words were deeply appreciated by Elder Xiao and the others. When they thought of bowing to such a little girl, they almost broke down. Yun Chuzhou nodded. Sect leader, I agree to this condition. When Master Xianyuan saw that Yun Chuzhou immediately entered the role, he could not help but think highly of Yun Chuzhou in his heart. Then, he said, second, our Spirit Radiance sect doesn't have the so-called death exemption token. However, as the sect leader, I promise you that as long as you don't do anything that betrays the sect, I can exempt you from a punishment. Yun Chuzhou rolled her eyes. I also agree to this condition. Thirdly, if the sect is in danger, little Ancestor Yun, please consider the bigger picture and help us. As soon as Master Xianyuan finished speaking, everyone's faces froze. Sect leader, have you been kicked in the head by a spirit beast? How could such a useless snack without spirit energy help them? The crowd looked at Yun Chuzhou again and was even more furious. They saw Yun Chuzhou touching her chin and lowering her head in deep thought, as if she was really considering whether to agree to this condition. They thought to themselves that they had seen thick-skinned people, but they had never seen such a shameless person. Yun Chuzhou thought for a moment and then said seriously, well, as your elder, if it doesn't hurt my life, I will help you. Everyone was so angry that they almost fainted. Yun Chuzhou, do you still have any sense of shame? Who do you think you are? You dug out a broken stick, and you really became a genius from that thrash you were. You really think you've become the thigh of Spirit Radiance sect? You even said that if it didn't harm your life, then you would help. You really think too highly of yourself. Even if we were beaten to death, we wouldn't ask for your help. The corner of Master Xuanyuan's eyes twitched. The reason why he mentioned this condition was just in case. After all, Grandmaster Linghua would not leave such a verbal order for no reason. However, no matter how he looked at it, Yun Chuzhou did not seem like a person who could save Spirit Radiance sect from danger. Alright, since that's the case, then according to what Elder Xiao said, if little Ancestor Yun can be ranked in the top 10 in the new disciple trials in a year's time, then we will acknowledge your identity as little Ancestor Yun. If you can't be ranked, we'll also give you a spot as an inner disciple. Well, pretend that what happened today never happened. Master Xianyuan announced his final decision. Chapter 169, Little Noodle or Little Stick. Yun Chuzhou took the black stick and carried it with a valiant spirit. Yes, she carried it away. Fuck. Why is this damn broken stick so heavy? Yun Chuzhou used all her strength to barely carry it and staggered away with the stick. Master Xianyuan and the others looked at Yun Chuzhou's back and the corners of their eyes twitched. No matter how they looked at this Yun Chuzhou, it just didn't make sense. Could Patriarch Linghua have made a mistake? A few elders filled the soil back in and then carefully covered the green stone slab on it again. Seeing that there were no traces left, they all dispersed. Feng Ming was stunned for a long time before he also left in a daze. Yun Chujio cursed as she walked. Fuck. I'm just looking for trouble for myself. Such a broken stick is not only useless, it's also so heavy. I might as well throw it here. After saying that, Yun Chujio actually threw the black stick on the ground and then hopped toward the dormitory. After Yun Chujio walked for a distance, Little Black cried out in alarm, "Master! Master! Quickly turn around. The stick has become a spirit. The stick has become a spirit." Yun Chujio was already mentally prepared. She turned around and saw the black stick jumping toward her. Yun Chujio curled her lips. "If you want to follow me and have a good life, then stop being so narrow-minded. Otherwise, I'll give you to little Xianyuan and have him lock you in the spirit tool pavilion so that you can sleep all day." The stick leaned forward a few times as if it was nodding. Yun Chujio said with disdain, "It's fine if you look ugly, but you're overweight. Hurry up and become lighter. Otherwise, you can hop behind me." The black stick paused for a moment and then flew into Yun Chujio's hand. The corner of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up. It was indeed much lighter. "At least you're sensible. Don't worry, Master. One day, I'll let you regain your former glory and become the #1 rolling pin in the world." The black stick trembled a few times and then stopped moving. "Yes, Master. I have to give you a good name. Let me think." Yun Chujio held the stick with one hand and touched her chin with the other. Little Black looked at the black stick sympathetically. With the master's level of naming, the name she gave would not be any better. "Actually, it's not bad for you to be called Little Black, but it's a pity that Little Black already has this name. Let me think again. Yes, I have it. You shall be called Little Flame." The black stick trembled even more violently. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes. "What? You don't like the name Little Flame? Then do you want to be called Little Noodle or Little Stick?" The trembling of the black stick suddenly stopped. Yun Chujio nodded her head in satisfaction. "That's right. A wise man submits to circumstances. You shouldn't try to go against my authority. Otherwise, you'll only end up in an even worse situation. Little Black, I'll leave Little Flame's education to you from now on." Little Black agreed very happily. Although it was only a stick, this little lord also had a little brother. Yun Chujio took the stick and brought Little Black back to the dormitory. As it was early in the morning, they did not meet many people along the way. Although everyone was puzzled as to why Yun Chujio was jumping around with a rolling pin, no one went forward to ask. Yun Chujio jumped to the dormitory and muttered, "Anyway, I've applied for leave, so don't waste it. I can use this time to catch up on my sleep." After washing up, she took off her coat and lay on the bed. Not long after, she fell asleep. Yun Chujio let out a light snore. A white light sneakily shot out from between Yun Chujio's brows and went straight for the black stick that was placed at the door. Chapter 170, The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Just as the white light was about to reach the black stick, Little Black flew over from the side and threw a purple fireball at the white light. The white light obviously did not expect Little Black to be able to release spiritual power, and it was a fireball with the power of lightning. In a hurry, it wanted to hide between Yun Chujio's eyebrows again. Unexpectedly, Yun Chujio, who was supposed to be sleeping, suddenly sat up and shot a bolt of lightning at it. The white light was shocked. Was it because it had been sleeping for too long? Why could a young fire-breathing crow shoot out a fireball with the power of thunder and lightning? Why could a trash without spiritual power shoot thunder and lightning? Plus, it was purple. Yun Chujio finally saw the true appearance of the white light. It was a very small silver dragon with gleaming scales which made it look like white light. "Are you the spirit of the rolling pin?" Yun Chujio covered her brows with one hand and prepared to attack with the other. The silver dragon raised its neck and opened its mouth to speak in the soft voice of a little girl. That's right. Why aren't you bowing when you see a senior? Little Wawa's disciples and grand disciples are getting worse. Yun Chujio was shocked. You're a female? This sentence seemed to have touched the little silver dragon's sore spot. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it shouted, so what if I'm a female? You're female too. Yun Chujio's heart was intrigued and she probed, could it be that it's because you're a female that Patriarch Linghua buried you under the stone? You, how did you know? The little silver dragon was obviously shocked. I figured so. Could it be that ancestral master Linghua was afraid that after a long period of time, he would develop feelings for you and fall in love with you? That's why he simply buried you under the green stone slab and waited for me to appear. Yun Chujio's mind was wide open as she spoke with great joy. You're talking nonsense. Little Hua isn't that kind of improper person. It's just that I'm mean, and little Hua is young, so I can't unleash my full power. Moreover, my body is a rod, and little Hua uses a sword. So before I ascended, he buried me under the green stone slab, waiting for the fated person. The silver dragon glared at Yun Chujio, obviously very dissatisfied with her arrangement of the former master. Little flame, you're wrong to say that. It's natural for men and women to love each other. How is that impolite? Don't worry, they'll definitely find a male rolling pin for you in the future so that you two can pair up. Yun Chujio winked at the little white dragon. Little flame. Humph. This rod has a name. It is the ninth heaven silver dragon wind fire rod, not something vulgar like little flame. The silver dragon was obviously very dissatisfied with Yun Chujio's name. Previously, it could only command the black rod to do some simple actions between Yun Chujio's brows. Otherwise, it would have protested long ago. Little flame, do you think you have the ability to negotiate with me? If my guess is correct, you must have encountered some kind of trouble. Either your spiritual power has been greatly reduced, or you've suffered a serious injury. Or, you must have made some kind of oath to my master. Otherwise, how could a mere stone trap you? Now, it's a matter of whether I want you or not. If you don't know what's good for you, they'll send you back to little Xinyuan. Yun Chujio said with a sneer. The silver dragon clearly did not expect Yun Chujio to be so difficult to deal with. At first, it thought that Yun Chujio was the most useless among those people, so it was best to get rid of her. Therefore, it hid between Yun Chujio's brows. Who would have thought that this was a freaking wolf in sheep's clothing, and it was also a wolf who ate people without spitting out their bones? The silver dragon looked at the little black bird who was staring with its green bean eyes, and then looked at Yun Chujio, who had a cold smile on her face. With a sobbing voice, it said, "Then what exactly do you want?" You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.